Did it track it down?
You didn't see it the first time?
I did not when we started talking off. I mean, obviously, I wasn't here yesterday, and it wasn't in on Monday. And so I just happened to look, and I was like, oh, Patrick changed his background. What's going on? And then I looked a little. That's when I had to peer in a little tighter here. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's a blank sheet ready to be just all kinds of draft notes everywhere.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
What's the problem with a whiteboard?
That it's hard to read and fit a lot of things. I ordered a webcam and a ring light. So hopefully
Going all in.
there won't be a glare and just the general camera will be better because there's problems with my laptop camera, like auto, I don't know what you would call it, Tim, auto correcting the darkness or whatever, something about I don't know what the deal is, but it's going to be better. I mean, I don't know when everything will get in here, and Bill and I'll be at the studio all next week, so
Whiteboard has to go to the studio every
after
morning.
that,
Underneath
you
your
take
arm.
it with you.
wheel it in there.
After
That, it'll basically be full speed ahead, 2 weeks till draft. That's really when it's going to shine.
In my mind, Patrick has it handcuffed to him and he travels everywhere.
Yeah.
Whiteboard.
Hops in the car.
What does the girlfriend think of the whiteboard, Patrick?
I don't think she has any thoughts on the whiteboard. She hasn't seen it.
She has no thoughts.
I don't know. What would you think?
I don't know. That's why I asked, sir. That's why I asked. I'm wondering if she's impressed with your NFL draft knowledge, if she thinks it's silly.
She could care less. She hates sports.
Okay. She just doesn't pay attention. That's one way to go as well.
Yeah.
0 points. First time in NCAA tournament history in a quarter. Texas basketball did not score last night in the fourth quarter. South Carolina basketball out to a 14-2 lead. Domination. Complete and utter domination. 62-34 the final score. Bill, what do you make of yet another Final Four appearance for Dawn Staley?
Yeah, I took the kids to eat, and we didn't get back until we got back a little late. Service. I'm not going to get into that, but we got back a little late, and by the time I flipped it on, they were up 20 on Texas, and so we did the bedtime thing and got ready, and I flipped it. I got back, was able to sit down, and when I cut it on, Aaliyah Boston is doing the post-game interview, and I see the score, and I'm like, huh? Are they doing, like, there was confetti. It was a very odd moment as I'm trying to wrap my head around the score of the game, and that's what they beat Texas, but that's what they held Texas to. So you're right. I didn't get to see quite as much of it as I would have liked, but I think dominance, as Chris says on the live stream, might actually be an understatement. Certainly, it looks like a team and a program heading, in my opinion, on a collision course with Connecticut for a rematch in the championship game. We'll see. We'll see, though. Obviously, the good news is they've got just a few days. I think you guys, would you agree with me? The quick turnaround time. The women's are not always on Friday, Sunday. Is that normal?
I think it traditionally has been, actually.
Has it been?
Mm-hmm. I think that's the weird part, right? They have an extra week in between their conference tournament and the NCAA tournament, and then an extra day for Selection Monday. And they started their tournament this year, I think a day later, and then now it speeds up at the end. So it is a kind of an odd schedule, but
yeah.
6 o'clock is tip time against fellow number one seed Stanford, who handled Louisville last night, 78-63. That's the Gamecocks' next game you're talking about in the 5-4.
Yeah, and so the quick turnaround time, I think, may be good for them because just what is it? Kind of get ready today, maybe kind of a little walkthrough, have a practice tomorrow, and then get ready to go on Friday night. So should be a lot of fun to watch that on Friday night.
Timothy just hit us up on the Facebook live stream. Flight booked to San Antonio. There you go.
Boy.
It says, yep, that's my championship game, UConn against the Gamecocks. Since 2017, it's been Friday, Sunday. Timothy gives us the heads up. So for the last several years, 2017, obviously the year that the Gamecocks won the national championship, and they did it in the state of Texas. Now back in the state of Texas and back in the Final Four. Patrick, what do you make of what happened last night? To me, 5 players in double figures when you score 62 points is a sign of excellence to begin with. Spread out and you're kind of attacking them from all angles, but that's 0 points in a quarter. The fourth quarter is just ridiculous.
It was the perfect game. I mean, I didn't even look at the box score. I don't need to. I watched it, and it was very impressive. South Carolina didn't even shoot a jump shot. That's an unofficial statistic. They didn't even shoot a jump shot in the first quarter because the first 4 possessions are just quick pass to Victoria Saxton, just bucket immediately, just dominating down low. Charlie Collar hyping her up all day, the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft, and just got dominated by Aaliyah Boston the entire night. I mean, it was impressive, top to bottom. I don't think it really got any closer than 9 once the first lead was pretty much established, but everyone chipped in. Aaliyah Boston looked like the best player in the country yesterday. The defense was stifling, and they were just getting a high percentage shots all game long. And then you could tell that it was really bothering Texas because they started to completely collapse inside and let South Carolina have some space for jump shots later on, knocked down a couple threes, and it was over. I mean, it was just not competitive. I don't know much about Texas. I don't know if it was a great matchup, and South Carolina was way more talented and was never going to have trouble with them, but they looked sharp from literally the very first second.
Yeah, you mentioned what a favorable matchup it was for Carolina going into this thing, and clearly it turned out that way. Just a massively busy night last night as the Gamecocks were dominating Texas. Gonzaga was absolutely dominating Southern Cal and goes into now the men's Final Four as the biggest favorite ever from a Vegas perspective. The nightcap was a fantastically competitive game, and it was Johnny Juzang is what you needed to know for UCLA. And almost single-handedly fighting through another sprained ankle, and it's the big upset. UCLA goes from the first 4 to the Final Four, and we've got 2 1 seeds, a 2 seed, and an 11 seed from the men's side of things in the Final Four. Really impressive for UCLA, becoming just the second team to go from the first 4 to the Final Four. The first year they had at VCU ended up making that run. Also, I saw from the great Tim Burray, former Clemson Sports Information Director, UCLA lost their last 4 games going into this tournament. So they lost 4, went to the first 4, now in the Final Four. Unbelievable run from UCLA. Bill, I know you're a little disappointed that Michigan didn't make it, but you're not going to be too upset with 2 1s at 2, and then the most historic college basketball program ever making the Final Four, are you?
Well, I'll be interested to hear if Patrick agrees with me. I feel like much like we're heading for a South Carolina Connecticut showdown in the women's side of things. I feel like it's going to be a weekend coronation for Gonzaga. Baylor should be a good game. I think it'll be Baylor. I think Baylor wins on the other side, and maybe that's the game that Gonzaga really gets pushed or challenged. The only disappointment is I thought Michigan would give Gonzaga a challenge. And obviously they're not going to be there to do that. It's going to be UCLA. And so I don't want to complain too much. It's just I thought a Michigan-Gonzaga game would be really, really good. Patrick, that was the first time I've really been able to sit down and watch Gonzaga last night. Obviously being a West Coast team, not a lot of their games get aired. And some of their bigger games that they were supposed to play this year ended up being canceled due to COVID. And to sit down and watch those guys last night, they're good. They're fun to watch. And Jalen Suggs, after the game, kind of talked about it in his interview where he said, man, we're just out here having fun. He goes, if you notice, we're smiling every play. We're smiling on the court. And I'm thinking, well, you're just beating everybody by 20. Of course you're smiling as you're running up and down the court. So I would have liked to see Michigan because I think that Michigan would have given them a good game. But you're right. I'm not going to sit here and whine this morning. UCLA, Mick Cronin has always been a good guy. I met him a couple times when I was doing scouting, and he was at Cincinnati, and always seemed like a very genuine, nice coach that was kind of above board. And again, I think the world of him. So, hey, I'm all for him making a Final Four appearance, and we'll see if UCLA can pull another upset. And then that Houston-Baylor game, just a ton of athleticism on the court when those two teams play. That one should be a fun one, and hopefully one of them can give Gonzaga a contest in the championship game.
What do you think, Patrick? To me, it was like a video game last night in Gonzaga. I mean, it was like they had almost gotten bored with the game, and Timmy especially was just figuring out how much fun he could have celebrating with his facial hair and the old number ones in the air. And it was their incredible run continues, but that's the best they've looked to me, the most dominant they've looked. You go with Don Staley's line of thinking that the Elite Eight game is the most difficult one, and I think a lot of coaches would agree out there. They made it look like child's play.
I think we could tell from the very beginning when we looked at the bracket, Gonzaga clearly, as the number one seed, was given the benefit of having the easiest road to the Final Four. They took it. You can't take it away from them. They completely took advantage of it and just throttled everybody. That's what they've been doing all year. The one game, they had one big game canceled. It was Baylor. That's hopefully the national championship game that we will get. Baylor is looking every bit as good as Gonzaga, though. They are suffocating on defense.
Whoa.
They were the preseason number 1 and 2 teams in the country. Like all season long, they've been the best 2 teams in college basketball. So to just characterize it as Gonzaga's going to just roll through this thing and hopefully someone can give them a game, I don't think that's very accurate. I think that they will probably blow out UCLA, even though UCLA is playing awesome. All of their games have been late, though, so I haven't been able to watch any of them. I've been working, so I didn't get to watch a second of the game last night. But Michigan isn't the same team without Isaiah Livers. He was their best player for parts of the season. It's hard to say who the best player on that team is. It's just a really good team. But Franz Wagner's have been trying to do a little bit too much in his absence. He's played really well some games, and now they just kind of ran out of juice, ran out of magic. They really needed that fifth piece. So unfortunately, I do think Gonzaga is going to blow out UCLA. But if Baylor makes a national championship game, which I expect, Houston is a really good team, but I still expect Baylor to win. That will be the national championship that we all deserve.
I don't disagree with that last part, but the fact that they're just not the same. Baylor is not on the same.
Gonzaga doesn't play defense because they don't need to. Baylor actually does play defense.
Okay, Arkansas put up 72. It was a 9-point win. They only beat Wisconsin. They beat Wisconsin by 13. They beat Villanova by 11. So it's been a good run. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's been a much more typical run. Gonzaga, I feel like, is on a run for the ages. Just complete domination. And there's a reason. Now they're a 13.5-point favorite in the Final Four. Baylor's a 4.5 favorite against Houston. I get it's an 11 seed against a 2 seed, so it's a little different there.
Gonzaga hasn't played a team that can stop them or even slow them down yet. Baylor is the one team that has the bodies to do that. So if Baylor can kind of stop the opening punch from Gonzaga, and Gonzaga doesn't just come out and get off to a 9-0 run and just put it in cruise control, it can be a good game. They haven't faced a defensive juggernaut yet. So, I really wish we got to see that game earlier in the season. But I think if they played, if the spread was anything more than 2.5, I would definitely take the points no matter what. I think that'll be a good game.
Good luck with that at this point. I hope you're right. I hope we do get a really good game. I think even if Houston makes the championship against Gonzaga,
I think Gonzaga will kill Houston.
You talk about a good defensive team and athletes all over the floor. That's Houston as well. They've had a good run. I'm not disappointed at all with the way the Final Four worked out on the men's side of things. How about this from Matthew from Landrum? Says UCLA will win the national championship. I'm calling it now. I picked them to be here in the beginning, and I'm still sticking with it.
Yeah,
I'm picking the Final Four.
It calls me to quickly pull up my bracket, my official bracket. I got one out of the 4.
I picked them to win 2 games, but in fairness, I was actually picking Michigan State to win those 2 games.
Right. I didn't even pick them to win that 4 game.
They didn't force you to do it in the official March Madness bracket contest or whatever the NCAA's website one is. You just picked the winner of the first 4 games. So
yeah, so you were taking a chance. I'm sitting here looking to see how far, because I feel like I'm with you guys. I feel like I had Michigan State going a little bit of a distance here. Let me see just how far now as I try to No, I had UCLA, well, Michigan State, UCLA, losing to Texas, and I think I had Texas in the Final Four.
Yep, as did I. I had Oklahoma State in the championship game. I did have Gonzaga and Baylor making the Final Four, though, I believe. What about you, Patrick? In your Final Four, did you have the 2 1 seeds that you're telling us about that are on the collision course?
No, I had Illinois. Illinois was hot.
The whole Final Four I'm looking for?
Oh, the whole Final Four? No, I had like a Big Ten heavy Final Four. I had Illinois playing Ohio State in the Big Ten championship rematch, and then Florida State. I was trying to get storylines. Right. Leonard Hamilton will never make a Final Four, I'm convinced. And it's impossible to pick a bracket now because nothing makes sense. You can't pick the hot team because Illinois was the hot team coming in and the coldest team, I guess, probably. I wonder how many teams were honestly on a longer losing streak than UCLA before the zero. Is the answer 0? You're shaking your head.
I don't know. I would find it hard to believe that you lost more than 4 in a row and you got in.
The coldest team coming in the tournament makes the Final Four. Just nothing makes sense in college basketball.
Chris, yep, I understand where you're at. I have 0 teams in the Final Four, he says on the Facebook live stream. Up and rolling this morning. Glad you're with us. Gamecock women's basketball back in the Final Four. Carolina baseball, 6 straight wins. Dominated early on against Gardner-Webb last night. 4 runs, I believe it was, in the first inning. And got a good start from Jack Mahoney and went on to roll into this weekend series against Georgia. So they did what they were supposed to do in midweek baseball after the big weekend sweep of Florida, up to, I think, number 8 in one poll, all over the map, like 8 to 18, I think, in some of the college baseball polls. Shows you the disparity in those specific rankings. But want to let you hear some of what Dawn Staley had to say last night after the big win for Carolina and her 3rd Final Four appearance in the last 6 years. We'll do that as we continue to roll on. This stat, I had to look it up twice. Timothy says 9 blocks from Letitia Amay here in the second half. Let me go back and look. Did you see her stat line last night? You don't see this very often. It was real close to a triple-double with blocks involved. 10 points, 9 blocks, 8 rebounds, 17 minutes. Unbelievable filling up the stat sheet there. But Gamecock basketball dominates Dawn Staley Company back in that Final Four. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5.
Unbelievable. Sunday is Easter, spring break for the kids next weekend. Maybe that means a spring break trip for you and the family. And you need to go purchase a new or pre-owned vehicle to do that. That way you can feel comfortable making that spring break trip next week with the kids. Get out, have a little bit of fun. Maybe get down to the beach, maybe do something a little entertaining. But the first part of that, again, is having a reliable vehicle. And you can get one of those at Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. New or pre-owned, doesn't matter. They've got the largest selection of any place in the Midlands. 14 acres of brand new Chevys to choose from. And then recently moving their pre-owned lot over from Love Automotive on Knox Abbott Drive in Casey, again, over to the Irmo location. That's one reason, the incredible selection. Reason number 2, the deals. You won't find anything better on pre-owned or on brand new, where you get the $1,000 low price guarantee. You can go over, check it out, look at other dealerships, take their deal back to the folks at Love Chevrolet, and they will top it or write you a check for $1,000. And finally, most importantly, in my opinion, is the incredible sales team. The way they treat you from the moment you come onto the lot to the moment you drive off the lot in your brand new vehicle. You cannot complain at all. They're knowledgeable. They're going to make you feel comfortable with your purchase, make you understand why it helps with your everyday commute. Go visit Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
This is why you listen to the live stream. See the text in yesterday from anonymous texter at 11:51 last night?
Yeah.
It starts with, I think he needs a shorter show. 11:51 last night. This texter goes on for, 4 more sentences. I drive 3 hours per day and get 20 minutes of information. That is informative. Most of it is in the morning by happenstance. Look, you can say a lot of things about this show. Compared to Heath's show, I don't think the word informative would come up.
No.
But at least it's informative with information.
All right, I got to wait. I like scrolling through the text messages when somebody sends that in and seeing what else they've sent.
Oh, yeah, going back in the history.
And I got to admit, that one texter seems more into movies than he does into sports. So I can understand.
Well, I guess the text before was about the FBS total stadium capacity at 6.4 million.
Go about school again today?
Yeah,
Man, this is going to be his easiest week ever.
for show.
I'm actually mad at John Seller right now.
Oh, man, you let him in your head, huh?
I mean, there's so many things you can say about me. I say the word like too much probably when I'm trying to think, or stuff like that, but ends every statement in question form.
You see how you just did it, right?
Exactly. I'm asking a question. I do end it in question form when I'm asking a question. Sometimes I'm making a statement and asking it in question form because I would like you to argue with me or something along those lines. But every statement in a question form doesn't even – I just don't get it at all.
I'm with you.
And he said that before I'd even talked this morning. He was harboring that.
Gotta let it go, Patrick. Gotta let it go.
No.
John, you've had a significant impact on the show.
Not a good one.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think the number one team in the country will be
Jake, yeah, crazy, man. Don Staley was kind after the game, saying that Texas, she thought they were tired and expended all their energy in that Maryland game. But she didn't even know. We'll play the audio here in a little bit. She didn't even know they kept scoreless in the fourth quarter. A ridiculous stat.
I talked to my mom yesterday, and she watched the whole Maryland-Texas game and was just – we're convinced that the caller, Diane, I think that was her name, just hates Maryland because there was really no reason to just go in like that. It was crazy considering what actually happened in the game.
James, heck of a bracket, man. Strong. 3 are your final. I'm wondering who you had coming out of the Michigan UCLA region. I'm guessing not Michigan. You had 3 of the Elite 8, obviously. Chris, I think you should just be pleased with what has happened since Kingston getting tossed at Vandy. I don't care what you did. He could have done anything with Jack Leiter on the mound. I don't think it was changing it.
Leiter didn't give up any runs this weekend.
Correct.
Send back in.
Jen, let's do whatever Staley you would like to play here. Oh, boy.
Celebration. I didn't realize that. Didn't feel like that. I say we were just locked in. A team that was driven to be where we are right now. That's just they wanted to go to the Final Four. They want to win the national championship, and they're going to give it up on both sides of the ball.
And not give up any points in the fourth quarter. It shows you how locked in a coach can be in a game from possession to possession, where it doesn't even dawn on you the entirety of it. 0 points for Texas last night in a 62-34 absolute beatdown from the Gamecocks. Patrick, you called it a perfect game in a lot of ways for the Gamecocks, and it was. I mean, 0 points in the fourth quarter, a 14-2 start, and getting contributions all over the place. 5 Gamecocks in double figures, which is just mathematically, that's tough to do when you score 62 points in a game. And that's exactly what happened. Zaya Cook named the most outstanding player of the region for the Gamecocks. She led the way last night with 16 points, also had 6 rebounds, 3 assists. You had 12 each from Destiny Henderson and Victoria Saxton, 10 points for the All-American Aaliyah Boston, and Letitia Amay here, who I mentioned earlier. She comes off the bench, plays 17 minutes, 10 points, 9 blocks, 8 rebounds. A ridiculous stat line there. And it's just been a ridiculous run. To me, the question is, in my mind, this elevates Dawn Staley to kind of that next level. Not that she hasn't been on the next level for Gamecock athletics, but it seriously puts her in the conversation for greatest Gamecock coach of all time. Ray Tanner won a couple of national championships, right? And played for a third. But, Bill, as you pointed out multiple times on this show, Gamecock baseball is already a really good program before Ray Tanner came to Gamecock baseball. They've been to multiple College World Series. There are inherent advantages to playing baseball in the state of South Carolina at the University of South Carolina. It's almost the exact opposite of men's basketball that we talk about all the time that has disadvantages, and we will certainly get into a couple of transfers that happened yesterday, almost the second one coming out while the USC women's basketball team was going to the Final Four. But Dawn Staley taking a women's basketball program that was, it did have one Elite Eight appearance in the Susan Walvia's era, but overall was certainly not anywhere close to challenging in the SEC, and now is a backseat to nobody from a national powerhouse perspective is why I give Staley so much credit, and the fact that she's got 4 McDonald's All-Americans in the pipeline, that this year's team is a young team, and this run, there is absolute no end in sight. I think that's what you were talking about a little bit earlier, Bill, maybe the lack of lag time now. Gamecocks back in action on Friday, and Dawn Staley kind of referencing it on the ESPN postgame interview, saying that this team doesn't even know what they're doing, doesn't even know kind of the magnitude of it because they're so young. I think there is an advantage to that now for Carolina moving forward. What about you, Bill?
I feel I was going to say I feel like South Carolina's playing their best basketball of the season right now, which sounds kind of stupid because they've played really good all season long. I wouldn't say it out loud. I was like, well, it's not like they've had this bad season. It's not like they've been UCLA kind of up and down and lose 4 straight and they get hot in the tournament. But you look at the way they've been able to handle their opponents. They haven't been challenged. I mean, they beat Mercer by 26. They beat Oregon State by 17. They roll over Georgia Tech by 11. Obviously, last night in the fourth quarter is something that we'll talk about for a few days. But it does feel like right now it's kind of come together. Again, they were playing really well. They went and won the SEC tournament. So I don't know if what I'm saying is correct, but it does feel like everything is kind of clicking at the right moment. And when you have the quick turnaround time today, again, I don't know what their exact schedule will be or how Dawn Staley chooses to handle it. If it's just a regular practice, if it's more of a walkthrough coming after a game, then you get tomorrow, and then you're right back on the court at 6 o'clock on Friday night. That's a quick turnaround, and I think that bodes well for them. Defensively, I'm thinking back in my time following South Carolina. I think it was an Arkansas football game back in 2000 or 2001 in which Charlie Strong's defense was just dominant that night. That last night's performance statistically is up there with one of the best defensive performances from any Gamecock team, regardless of sport. And it does feel like defensively things are kind of clicking. Now we'll see. Stanford's really good. Stanford's good at the game of basketball. We'll see how that works out. It really should be a fun matchup on Friday night, something you can kind of center your Friday night around and plan a nice little meal and be fired up and ready to go.
Ken, Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Tim, Ray Tanner played for 4 national championships. 1, 2, went to 6 World Series. I'm aware. 2002 national championship game against Texas, and it was 2 separate runs of 3 straight College World Series, right? 02 through 04, 2010 through 2012. Massively impressive. I still have him at the top. But Dawn Staley, in my mind, closed a little bit of the gap last night, and I think is going to continue to close the gap as she moves on. And Ken, if you know Ray Tanner's history, you certainly know Gamecock baseball history as well. It hasn't been just the Ray Tanner era, and that's it. USC women's basketball, outside of the one Elite 8 run that happened in, I believe it was like 04-ish. No, before then, actually. I'll look it up here in a second. Yeah. It might have been in the late. No, I think it was the early 2000s, though, maybe 2002, something like that. Outside of that, there just wasn't there. There wasn't anything that Gamecock women's basketball had to build on from a program standpoint, and that's the massively impressive part of Dawn Staley's run here, is that it hasn't been just with some players that happened. As she was talking about it last night in the post-game press conference, Bill, it reminded me a lot of Steve Spurrier and the run that the Gamecocks got on in the 3 straight 11-2 seasons, led by a bunch of in-state players. She mentioned that she was fortunate that a lot of good players, some of the best players in the country, just happened to be in the state of South Carolina towards the beginning of this run, talking about obviously Asia Wilson and Elena Coates from down the road. But it hasn't just been them. Now, I guess there are South Carolina natives on the roster, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
rotation right now.
As you were saying that, I was thinking back. Khadijah Sessions was, I believe, from Myrtle Beach, and obviously was a big part of it. Is it Ashley Welch? I feel like now I'm not saying that, but from Goose Creek. Right. There have been several. Those two stand out to me. Asia Dozier, yep, that's a good one. So yeah, thinking back, and then you look at the roster now, I think it's a little bit different, but it's different because it's a national program, and you can recruit. I mean, when you're recruiting a class like that Duke basketball class, had the top 3 players in the state, in the country, with Zion, R.J. Barrett, and Cam Reddish a few years ago, and then you've got Dawn Staley landing, what was it, 3 or 4 of the top 13 in the country 2 years ago. Yeah, I mean, it's just a different level, and I'm with you. I think. Look, nobody's putting down what Ray Tanner did, and we're not saying that Dawn Staley has reached the number of accomplishments that Ray Tanner had. But you're right, South Carolina baseball was an entity before Ray Tanner arrived. Bobby Richardson had the program doing very well. June Raines had success. There was a history of success for South Carolina baseball. Obviously, we know not to the level to which Ray Tanner took it. He took it a step further. But you had seen success. You had seen playing for championships for South Carolina baseball. You had not seen that for women's basketball. And that thing was built from absolute scratch. And look, credit to Eric Hyman, man. Credit to Eric Hyman. He took a lot of flack from this fan base for paying Dawn Staley more than he was paying Ray Tanner at the time in an effort to keep her from going to a national power or leaving the program for somewhere else. And a lot of people were upset and ready to run Eric Hyman out of this town because he was willing to pay her because he saw the long-term potential of Dawn Staley, and certainly it's paid off for South Carolina women's basketball.
All right, what about on the men's side, Bill? What did you make of the news as the USC women were making the Final Four last night? A second Gamecock transfer popped up, and Jalen Mccurry going to enter the transfer portal reportedly along with Trey Hannibal. To me, it seems like this is the natural reaction to the season to begin with, but also that there's some internal conclusion drawn to about Frank Martin and company moving forward, and now these players are going to move forward with their careers and try to do it somewhere else.
Yeah, look, those were 2 players that I liked, Hannibal and Jalen Mccurry yesterday, and that I thought that they could be foundation pieces moving forward for Frank or for whomever. I really liked Mccurry. I do like the post players that South Carolina has. I'm very accepting of the fact that South Carolina's not going to land guys who come in and make an immediate impact. But I thought with continued development, they had a nice rotation there on the front court. And so losing Mccurry, I think, is big. We'll see. I think there's going to continue to be more attrition. You could see more today. We'll see. AJ Lawson still has not made an announcement. He was the one that we probably felt most comfortable with moving on. But you've had Keyshawn Bryant now, obviously Hannibal and Mccurry. We'll see what happens with Keyshawn Bryant. But I feel like when you're seeing guys leaving like we are, it to me hints that Keyshawn Bryant's again not coming back. But we'll see on that. And I know some people. We can get into it here as we kind of go through, but certainly the South Carolina basketball program, we said hit the reset button, and you had to make a decision who was going to be the person who hit the reset button. Was it a new coach, or was it going to be Frank Martin? Barring a change now, it's going to be Frank Martin. He's going to have to dig deep here and see what he can build going into 2021, 2022.
Patrick, what do you think? Trey Hannibal and Jalen Mccurry now moving forward and into the transfer portal. I think you could, if you had to sum up this past season, you could take these two guys and say, yep, going into year number 2, clearly talented players, and also didn't develop certainly to the level that Carolina needed them this year, and that was kind of the year in general. I feel like they're kind of symbolic of the season that the Gamecocks had overall.
Yeah, I don't know if their transfer is a sign of more ominous things to come, then it can be a problem. But in terms of just losing the players, this is kind of what I felt about the football team when guys were decided to transfer. When you lose guys, when you're a 2-win team, there's no one that's irreplaceable. When you're a 4-win conference team, a 6-win team, and a season as bad as this one, and it seems like there were some other issues going on. I mean, Trey Hannibal got rested for a game when he was completely healthy and there was nothing wrong. Clearly there was something going on behind the scenes there, because I don't think any of us believe that he was actually just rested. So you never know what the reason is for that. Joe McCurry, yeah, I mean, he had some flashes, but I mean, he was averaging, I think, 13 minutes a game or something like that. I think I just pulled it up, and I think it was around 13 minutes a game. Was clearly not a foundational piece of the roster. So when you're as bad as South Carolina was this year, you're not going to be devastated by losing any particular player. But I am curious if this is kind of a preview of an offseason that's going to be kind of tumultuous here.
Definitely two programs on the opposite end of the spectrum as we sit here today, with USC women's basketball back in the Final Four and a couple of transfers for Frank Martin in the men's program. We'll continue to discuss as we roll on this morning and see if we can get Patrick going on the whiteboard and a little NFL pre-draft talk. Some movement since Bill last joined us here, but plenty to discuss from the Carolina perspective, including the 6th straight win for Mark Kingston and Gamecock baseball last night, relatively easily over Gardner-Webb, a program that had actually beaten Carolina, I think, in the last 2 tries, and the same pitcher on the mound that had beaten them before. And last night, the Gamecocks didn't waste any time with 4 runs in the first, including a 3-run shot from Wes Clark, his 14th of the season, as he continues to lead the country. We'll just try to lead you into a good Wednesday this morning. Going to need Patrick to turn his frown upside down. I think the comments have got him in a bad, but I think you guys have gotten in his head. Have you let him get to your head, Patrick?
I don't know, because I'm in a bad mood now.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
That's a guarantee.
A
I
Wednesday
think
morning.
Gamecock Larry's burner is now on the YouTube live stream, and going by the name of Rodney S. Man, these cats love to talk. Yeah, it's a radio talk show. What are we talking about here in the comment section right now? At my wit's end.
Just had
It's a
enough.
good time to take a break. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game. Talking.
45 minutes into the show.
Get excited this morning. It's kind of the same feeling you get when you get to purchase that home, maybe save a little money. And I tell you what, right now, the housing market is hot. You need to have a local lender, somebody you can trust, somebody you can reach easily, and you need him to be a guru, to be quite honest. You need a mortgage guru. And I have that person just for you, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. You give him a phone call this morning, start the process, get pre-approved, find out what you're approved for, and then start the house hunting. Get out there, find that dream home. That phone number this morning to get the whole thing started, 803 803-719-1005. They're looking to create new local real estate partnerships. If you want trustworthy professionals, give Jacob Crowder and his team a call. 803-719-1005. You can email them, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER, at firstpalmetto.com. That's the way to reach him. Again, right now is a golden opportunity. Maybe you're thinking about refinancing. Maybe you're thinking about purchasing that new home, whatever it may be. Find out today what you're approved for. 803-719-1005. He's the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, with First Palmetto Bank.
Attaboy, Rodney. He's having fun over there.
But I'm not.
Oh, boy. How you doing, man?
Chris just wants you to breathe, Patrick. Just breathe.
I was actually freaking out because my laptop is just making so much noise, which is never a good sign. The fan is working very hard, so I have this other fan that I'm leaving underneath of it because I cannot afford to have my burn out. Not really fun. And like now the power button does not work on this laptop, so I just have to leave it on at all times, which is definitely not good for it.
All right, we need to take out the Gunter family morning right now. You know, quite a place this morning. Quite a place.
Tell me if the comments of this fan is really loud.
I'm sure it's better audio than I bring to the table every day.
Can you hear it?
Maybe barely, but no, I think it sounds pretty good. What about you, Jen?
What's that?
Patrick has an extra fan going with his laptop. It's not messing with his live stream audio on your end, is it? Cool.
Yeah, I don't think so. If it drowns out Bill's voice, we're good.
Yeah, 2002. All right.
So my mic. Good morning, Miss Beverly. How are you?
All right. I think she was disappointed you weren't on the live stream yesterday, Bill.
That's so.
Well, she didn't say so. I'm totally putting words in her
You're
mouth.
just inferring feelings, huh?
She only said good morning to you the other day.
Yeah, it took forever last night. We all went to, me and the kids and Laura went to dinner, and it took forever. I was not back in time to watch TV like I wanted to. What we got here? About 3 minutes?
Nah, I don't think we'll even have that.
Am I the peppy one of the group this morning? I take one day off. I feel rested, refreshed, ready to go.
Yeah, I've heard that somewhere. No, you have about 2.5.
It was. I hit some good shots. I was from 150 yards in on Monday. I was pretty good. If it was over 150 yards, it was not very good. There was not a lot of good getting off of the tee box or on par threes.
Oops.
Jen, let's do number 5 when we come back, please.
Okay, straight in.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I always found if it was a really challenging
All right,
shot.
let's see.
Yes, that's the thing I'm about to go do, and then I'm done.
You just want to put your jacket on. You're
And
good.
then I put the jacket on.
Our boy Austin.
He's got to get a haircut. He's getting too much into the soccer hair.
Oh, that's all
There
right.
you go. Got to go man bun.
No.
Oh. I'll cut his hair in the night like the tooth fairy takes a tooth. And
He's got to get a haircut.
Yesterday he said that I couldn't get a man bun.
Who said that?
You.
Oh, yeah, you're not getting a man bun. We got to work on your sideburns. Come here and show these sideburns real quick. I mean, just look at
oh
it.
wow.
Ooh,
Yeah,
You can play for Gonzaga right now, I
it's
think.
true. You could.
Bill, you could do that with a pair of scissors right now.
Good call, Austin.
Yeah.
Well, did your family do that, Patrick? The homemade haircuts?
My sideburns never got crazy in particular, but my dad shaved my head for most of my life.
Nice.
My mom tried to curl bangs. She should never have done that. There's one family picture. The bangs are like,
Did you ever cut your own hair, Jim?
I did
Isn't
not.
that like-
Both my kids did that though.
My sister did that right before one of my aunt's wedding, like the week before. She was the flower girl, whatever.
Yeah. They only do it before important things. Megan did it right before school pictures. Yeah. All right, number 5.
Make no mistake, this team stuck together. This team came together. This team is playing some of their best
Adam.
basketball at the right time.
Adam Morrison there, correct?
That doubt at this moment,
Fine.
you can come on back. We always got room on the bandwagon for you.
Dawn Staley, after an absolute dominating performance last night, 62-34 over Texas. First time in NCAA women's basketball history since they've moved to 4 quarters that an entire quarter went by without a team score. Look at any game. That's kind of shocking to me with 1-16 matchups and how women's basketball there is more disparity between the haves and the have-nots. I'm surprised, for instance, UConn didn't just absolutely dominate somebody and keep them scoreless in one of those first-round matchups. To do it going to the Final Four in the final quarter, where the game was reasonably competitive going into the fourth quarter last night. It wasn't like it was a complete laugher. I got to give Texas a little credit from coming back. It was a 14-2 start for the Gamecocks, but they worked their way back into making it worth watching to some degree. But wow, it was domination. Now Dawn Staley and company are back in their third Final Four, looking to win their second national championship. They're going to match up with Stanford 6 o'clock Friday night. It's game time on the other side of the bracket. That's where UConn is. And UConn playing off the top of my head, it has slipped my mind now. You guys help me out on that one. UConn is playing who on the other side of the bracket? Arizona. Yes, thank you. Making a bit of a Cinderella run into the Final Four.
Well, I think they said, did you hear the stat? No team lower than a 3 seed has won the women's national championship, and we have 3 1s and a 3 this year, so that will not change this year.
So to my point about maybe not quite the parity you see when you see an 11 seed in UCLA going from the first 4 to the Final Four, second ever team to do that. You got to throw in they also lost their last 4 going into the NCAA tournament, Bill.
Well, half of the Final Four on the men's side is teams not considered to be from high major programs. Houston and Gonzaga. Kind of, both of them one's a 1 and one's a 2, so it's not like we're talking about teams that made Cinderella runs, but interesting there as well.
Interesting first hour. Handling success now, Gamecock fans. 6 straight wins in baseball. Final 4 in USC women's basketball. Some transfers on the men's basketball side of things as well. Plenty to discuss as we roll into hour number 2 on a Wednesday. We'll see if we can cheer Patrick up.
Just stop being mean. Stop being mean in the comments.
Hour 2.
Basketball coach Dawn Taylor,
Clear.
and you're listening to the
Oh, I see what you're doing there, Craig. Just bringing it strong. Bringing it
My
strong.
goodness. Yeah, Craig, I guess you're calling yourself a dope. There, yeah, I saw Austin. Or you were saying it could be Austin.
Got it.
Got it. All right, I'm taking kids to school. Patrick, cheer up. I'll be back in 30 minutes.
Make it 25.
I'll do my best. It's on the line to go through the car. If we can get through that, but no rain this morning.
No. It's just a little bit foggy, but not bad.
Rain this afternoon?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Like a little bit of fog this morning.
Fog. All right. I'll be back in just a little while.
Yeah.
See you, man. So I think this is the natural result of your weekend, Patrick, catching up to you on Wednesday.
No, that would have been yesterday during the day.
Yeah, gotcha. Just need a little baseball in your life to give you some perspective.
Exactly.
I plunked my first kid last night.
No.
Feel better.
Did they cry?
Oh, no. He's 7, and he is on the path to Bryce Harperdom.
Oh.
Good.
So he needed to be plunked down early.
No. But his dad says his other coach, he plays travel baseball too. And his other coach hits him nearly every game. So it made me feel a little better.
There you go.
If I had to hit one kid, I had to pick my own first. But one kid that wasn't my own, I would have probably had to pick him.
No seams showing on the skin, right?
Right.
So, see.
He has yet to get out through 2 games as well. Just carrying the team. Came back, got the hit in the at-bat. It's huge.
Wow.
Chris, interesting suggestion. Just turn around and look at your board, Patrick. That makes you smile. No, I think it's the not being able to figure out how to maximize the board so far on the video stream that has him even more grizzled. And then
What's really concerning me is that as I pulled up the screen, my laptop was making very loud noises. It's making me really nervous.
Feedback.
Well, for some reason I echo in, I think, Tim's computer. As soon as the breaks start, I stop talking sometimes because I can just hear it kind of double sound a second later.
Not that it isn't good that, to hear you twice, but.
You guys on the live stream are patient people. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're just never going to get the show audio on there, are we?
About the time that, everybody's back.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, did he just surrender because something happened to the piece, or it didn't work?
Didn't work, and Ed says he's tried again. I just have no confidence that the second try is going to work either. I think that cord is sitting outside my office right now.
Oh.
I'm a bit broken there, and also because it's such a thing to have a second of music on the internet as well. So technically we would have to wait until the music completely stops to pop in our program audio anyway.
Still be worth it.
Yep, I agree.
So is that cord something you need or that he needs? said something about a court outside your office.
I think there are multiple ways we can make it happen, but I just got to the point where I wanted to be able to control it on my end.
I gotcha.
And so running a cord from the access to my laptop, I thought would be the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Except my pathetic attempt at engineering did not work, just from Amazon. And then the first attempt with his help and the combination of what I got there didn't work either. And so I am not confident the second attempt will work. And
I thought that it was going to have to be Jen running it from the studio.
that's another way to do it, but she's got plenty going on.
It's worth a try.
Carlton, I see a few pictures that you sent me. Is that the package you're referring to? Tony Madlock as the new SC State coach? Just on a day like today and where the SC State program was, 1-1 game last year, it's not at the top of the content list, my friend. Did you see the Utah Jazz story, Patrick?
No.
Oh, I'll tell you about it right off the top here. That's another good text to start hour number 2. Probably put you in a worse mood, but maybe it'll give you a laugh, Patrick.
I don't know what it means.
You sent audio too. I don't see audio. Yes, that could be audio, but it didn't. I don't think it showed up as audio on my end. And it's just not. I don't think I'm even allowed to do it. To download the audio through the email and try to get it going. Let's do the 14-second Don Staley one, Jen, off the top here. That is number 2.
2. Yep.
I am just incredibly proud of them. I'm glad I'm part of their village because they are, some of the, aside from being great basketball players, they are super great people.
Gamecock women's basketball back in the Final Four for the 3rd time in the last 6 years and do it in absolutely dominating fashion last night against Texas, holding the Longhorns to 0 points, none in the 4th quarter. First time that's ever happened in the NCAA tournament. I was going to say the women's tournament. Obviously, it doesn't happen in the men's tournament either. They don't play quarters over there for some mystifying reason. The reason that men's college basketball is the only level of basketball anywhere that just plays 2 halves and confuses my 8- and 6-year-old very, very much. And I don't blame them at this point. Welcome in to hour number 2. Hope you're off to a good start on this Wednesday morning. I would say the moods can use improving on our show through 1 hour. We'll see how it works through the second 2 hours or the next 2 hours. Patrick is fired up. He's got the whiteboard. He's got some laptop issues. So we're dealing with that. From the content perspective, 3 main things. If you're a Gamecock fan just joining us for the first time. Don Staley is really good, and that basketball team more than stepped up last night as they go to the Final Four. Willow play Stanford now, another number 1 seed who won by 15 against a really good Louisville team last night. So it's going to be quite the task in the national semifinal game. 6 o'clock tip set for Friday night. On the men's basketball side of things, while Carolina was punching its ticket last night, the news came out about Jalen Mccurry. This was hours after it came out about Trey Hannibal earlier in the day. 2 Gamecocks now in the transfer portal. Jalen Mccurry at the post, Trey Hannibal at the guard spot. And then Gamecock baseball continues to roll, now balancing things out. 11-game win streak to start. 6-game losing streak followed that up, and now a 6-game win streak to give us a little bit of symmetry as the Gamecocks continue to cruise after the tremendous weekend sweep against Florida. And last night it was 4 runs in the first inning, led by a 3-run shot from Wes Clark. Brady Allen adding another home run later, as did Gamecock shortstop George Khalil, hit his first homer of the season. And 9-4, I believe, final score there for Gamecock baseball as they get set to take a bit of a breath now. They get a couple of days off and then continue the SEC Gauntlet, which will be the biggest break they get in this regular season, as Georgia and Missouri are up next. Georgia this weekend, I think, and then Missouri on paper looks like the easiest of the series. Obviously, the players and coaches won't look at it that way, but that's how we can look at it from the outside. Patrick, let's get into what Dawn Staley was talking about right there. Giving all the credit to our players, a young team, and how they did it last night. The most impressive part, I think, to all of us in just complete, especially defensively, but on the offensive side of things, very balanced. They scored 62 points, and they have 5 players in double figures.
It was awesome. I mean, I'm trying to look at the field goal percentage. That's what I'm pulling up right now. 43.9 is actually a lot lower than I would have expected, because at the beginning it didn't look like they were going to miss. It was just straight to the bucket on every single possession. I think there was one maybe 3-foot runner from Destiny Henderson on the side of the basket, and that was the only non-layup basically they had in the whole first quarter. And it just looked like they were going to absolutely roll. When you get the number 1 pick, because I popped the pregame on probably 10 minutes before, and all they were talking about was Charlie Collier, how great she is, going to be the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft. And Aaliyah Boston holds her for 2 for 10 and 4 points for the best, you were calling her the best player in the country. That's pretty much all you need to say. It was domination. The stars for South Carolina dominated as well. And they were just phenomenal. It was a blast to watch. I like that they don't make us sweat really at all. So I think in the last hour I heard something about Dawn Staley. What was the comment she made? For those of you that didn't expect this, you could come back on the bandwagon now, basically. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think people were not expecting South Carolina to be in the Final Four. I think basically now is where it gets real, though. You're playing the number 1 team in the country. I definitely did not stay up to watch the Stanford game because it started at 9 o'clock, but I saw that they had they were down 12 at some points and came storming back, and they've been phenomenal all year. So this is where it truly gets real. Don't say they come out delete it being the toughest. It was a breeze yesterday, but Stanford is looking like quite the foe.
Did you see these stats? This is a box score that you got to look at more than once. At least I do, to believe it. You want to guess what Texas shot overall as a team last night? You want to guess, Patrick?
Percentage?
Yeah, percentage-wise.
I would say 25 or less.
Well done. 23% is what Texas shot. 0 for 15 in the fourth quarter will put a damper on a percentage anytime. And the Charlie Collier Aaliyah Boston matchup that was clearly the matchup on paper going into this thing, right? Two of probably the 2 most talented post players in women's college basketball. They combined to go 4 out of 21. So you said Charlie Collier was 2 for 10, Aaliyah Boston 2 for 11. The difference was Boston found her way to the free throw line and converted on all 6 of the free throws. So she ends up with 10 points. One of those 5 players for the Gamecocks in double figures, also grabbed 8 rebounds. Collier ended up with just 4 points and 4 rebounds. So completely neutralized from that standpoint. And then Texas really couldn't do much from there. Their guards just not to the level of the Carolina guards. I think, well, first of all, we know Dawn Staley has one of the most, I don't even know how to put it. One of the largest is not the best way to put it. One of the most competitive people out there ever, right? And one of the best at ever, I think is the best way to put it. So when she's talking about rejoining the bandwagon, you have to understand that she looks at any kind of slight to her team, I think, differently than most logical and rational people, and in a good way, clearly has channeled it in the best way positive. But For instance, our girl Hope, who helps lead the YouTube channel subscription drive on our show, didn't even have this year's Gamecocks in the Final Four. She certainly wanted them to be there, but from what she had seen this season with the 4 losses, she thought that the run would come to an end in her bracket in the last
You probably
game.
had Maryland, right?
Right.
Because that's the thing.
Which
Everyone was
Texas
hyping up
beat.
Maryland.
Those mean
But
girls
then-
from Maryland.
Yeah, exactly. And Texas, I did notice it, talking to my mom earlier yesterday. She said Texas, they mentioned during the Maryland game, took the most charges of anyone in the country. So her theory is that our caller who said that Maryland is the dirtiest team she's ever seen, basically Texas is just a bunch of floppers. So,
Well,
and I did see it. Letitia, do you see in the first quarter, Letitia Meaher only played 17 minutes because she got the short end of a flop. And she was just driving, and a girl just went flying backwards. That girl Warren was actually, she's very good at taking charges. I did a lot of that myself when I was a rec basketball player. I would take charges all the time, and they hated when I would take charges in rec basketball games. But yeah, I mean I was that guy. But that's just what it was. I mean, she got unlucky, and she had to get pulled out basically immediately when she went into the first half.
Again, another stat line from last night's box score that bears repeating. Letitia Meaher off the bench. Only played 17 minutes because of those foul issues. She ended up with 4 in the game. 10 points, rebounds, relatively typical box score for a post player at South Carolina this year. 9 blocks. Ridiculous. And Timothy telling us all in the second half, if that's true. I mean, come on. That block per minute production is unreal, a lot like the 0 points allowed in the fourth quarter last night for the Gamecocks. First time that's happened in NCAA women's basketball tournament history.
Well, you could just tell. I mean, basically, Carolina kept their foot on the gas, and Texas pretty much just kind of slowed down. So it was just like they knew they lost, and they were just chugging.
They were done.
Yeah, they were
done. Broken. They broke spirit, and
really,
it's a matter of playing out the clock. In an Elite 8 game, though, tremendous to do that. But you're right, Patrick. It will be by far the biggest challenge of the tournament to this point, maybe of the season, taking on Stanford in the next game. But from what we just saw, it's hard to doubt that this team will step up to the challenge. I think that's why you hear Dawn Staley say, hey, there's enough room on the bandwagon. How you could doubt her program and this year's team. I get how you could doubt the team from what you saw in some of those losses and performances. But from Dawn Staley's standpoint, I think that's the mama bear in her standing up for her team. And not just her players, but the people that they are. She mentioned, this is probably a good time to play the comment, by the way. Jen, I think this was revealing last night. Dawn Staley saying that she didn't even think maybe some people within her team wanted her to say this publicly, but a comment right here about what this team had gone through in the NCAA bubble, maybe revealing why as strong of feelings were expressed from Dawn Staley after the big win last night.
We had an assistant coach lose her mother while being in this bubble. We've had, we've had a player lose her uncle the other day. And it would have been very easy for them to just say, families first. I got to go home. I got to leave this bubble. But the sacrifice, the resiliency. We got another one that's going through cancer treatments. So, but they all are able to just put things to the side, focus on the task at hand, and then pick it up when we're done what we're doing.
Dawn Staley, after the 62-34 win, just giving you a little bit more of an inside look into the complete process that we don't see. We see the final scores. We see what happens in the game. We hear some of the post-game comments, but it is only a percentage of the entire story. So you let us in on a little bit more there, and maybe we'll continue to get that story filled out. But I'm guessing here with the way the women's tournament works, it's a 24-hour rule. She said they're going to enjoy the win last night, and now I think it's a good thing that you don't have extra lead time into this game with your team playing as well as it's playing, clearly Stanford's playing well as well. But the matchup on Friday night is going to be an epic one, and I assume UConn will be waiting on the winner in the national championship game, UConn and Arizona, the other semifinal game on the women's side of things. And the men's side of things, man, how about UCLA? To me, the story of last night, and it was Johnny Juzang for UCLA, absolutely incredible in multiple ways. And I think it was 18 out of the 24 points at halftime. It was a slugfest, UCLA and Michigan deep and athletic and gets after you defensively, but didn't have an answer for Juzang last night, who I think scored 28 points on the game. And UCLA gets a hard-fought win, while Gonzaga, the exact opposite of the spectrum, just blowing the doors off Southern Cal and having their way with them, looking as impressive as anyone I've ever seen in the NCAA tournament to this point. Patrick, I know you want the Gonzaga-Baylor matchup, as it's going to be Gonzaga-UCLA, and then Baylor-Houston on the other side of the bracket on the men's side of things. But in your mind, Baylor's not too far behind, if at all, what Gonzaga's been doing, not only this tournament, but the entire season.
I just think they're a good matchup. No one can compare to the overall talent level, basketball talent level on Gonzaga, or the offensive firepower, and really, honestly, the offensive chemistry too, because what they're doing is just silly. But I do think Baylor matches up from a toughness standpoint. Like Mark Vital, the big man for Baylor, I want to see him matched up against Drew Timme, because Drew Timme's not the most physical guy. He's really crafty and does a lot of really good work around the rim. And I don't even know how to describe it. He just doesn't like bat guys down and then dunk in their faces. He's not that kind of player. So when a guy like Vital's on him and really having his way physically, I would like to see how they react to that. And if Gonzaga can't get into a shootout and just score a million points, how will they react to it? And Baylor can score. I think their calling card has been defense, but I think they're just more of a well-balanced team. Like Gonzaga's clearly, to make like, I guess they would be like the Chiefs. Like they just score a million points, but don't necessarily need to play defense. And I would like to see how the Buccaneers, who can play both sides of the ball, would match up against them.
I think that's a fair comparison. I see how you're working in your NFL expertise there. You got the whiteboard behind you, still working on exactly how we're going to get that worked out. But the NFL draft hype continues. We'll probably touch on that at some point this morning, but plenty of more discussion. Both Final Fours are set. Gamecock women's basketball in on the women's side of things for the third time in the last 6 years, third appearance ever. And that makes Dawn Staley's record now 3-2 in her 5 Elite 8 games, but by far the most dominating one last night in multiple ways, but especially defensively with 0 points for Texas in that fourth quarter. Let you hear more from her as we continue to roll on. 803-404-6100. Love to hear from you. You can call or text. You can also follow us on that live video stream sponsored by Buford Lending up on Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Love for you to subscribe to that YouTube channel. Also on Twitter at 1075 The Game. Patrick, you have let us in on the inside information that if we could have some kind of firewalls, I think Twitter is the way to go to watch the live video. Is that what you're hearing from?
I have found out that some office computers or networks will block YouTube, but you can just go on Twitter, go to the 1075 The Game Twitter page, which posts it every day, or the Facebook page. It depends on what your office will allow, but usually there is a way to get around it.
That's why we have multiple options for you, just so you can find multiple avenues to get
circumvent the rules.
Your professional obligations. Just getting rolling here in hour number 2. Bill will be back soon. It's the early game.
This is basketball coach Dawn Staley, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecock.
Oh, it was yesterday. It was quite the day around my house. So my kids recently, because we are way behind in the technology deal, we still have the Wii. So recently they've got some birthday money they have to spend. We go and get a $5 FIFA game. So they started playing FIFA soccer. I know this is not the halftime show. We won't discuss soccer that much. But they parlayed that into wanting to play soccer for the first time in years yesterday. So we go do that in the afternoon. It's a little bit muddy on the field, tracks back a little extra dirt, and then we have the situation around the house. Fortunately, around my house, though, got some professional help when it comes to keeping our floors clean. Zero Res, carpet and air duct cleaning. They've been out to my house a couple times, done a great job cleaning our carpets. They've cleaned an area rug for us, also freshened up the tiles in both the kitchen and bathroom, and really impressed my wife with the results. And especially the way they got to their results is important around my house. Not only do we have the 6 and 8-year-old boys, we got another little dude waddling around right now, not quite 1 year old, and he's picking up everything that he can find and trying to put it in his mouth. So we are very, very interested in what's on the floors these days. No harsh chemicals involved in that Zero Res cleaning process. It's a powered water system where they crank up the pH. It's very chemically advanced, way beyond my understanding. All I need to know, no harsh chemicals, that is a load off our shoulders. Nothing to worry about when it comes to that. Also, no leftover soapy residue. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Yours can as well. And right now, Zero Res has a great deal for you. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119, plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. Check them out. 803-262-4020 is where you can call Zero Res. You can book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. It's Zero Res, spelled backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Oh, Patrick just chatted on us. How dare you, Patrick? All right, our buddy Barron on the phone. It's good news there. Zags in. Okay. Oh, Mark, what a prince. He's gonna go subscribe to YouTube. Here we go. That maybe that'll put Patrick in a better mood as he gets his 7th cup of coffee this morning.
This is actually the earliest I've ever polished off a cup of coffee.
Attaboy, Mark. What number were you? Do you know, sir? Can you update us there? And Mike Young, I'm guessing this is not the Virginia Tech former Wofford coach, but Jalen Mccurry, sir, we'll talk about a little bit more. My apologies. We talked about it, I guess, a little bit more extensively before you joined. I'm guessing 664, Mark. It might be that magic number 664. Much better than 666.
Do you know who Lil Nas X is?
Yeah.
Ugh.
What a just gross ugh.
What's going on there? Can you help explain that, Patrick? His shoes with blood in them?
Right.
Yeah, he released a new song. I didn't listen to the song. I don't know what it's about, but the video and the album art is him like twerking on the devil, and then he's releasing 1,018 pairs of these shoes, or 666 pairs of his like devil shoes.
$1,000 a piece.
$1,018 a piece with like pentagrams and apparently one drop of human blood.
Yeah.
It's a just bizarre thing, but Nike, I think, is suing him because they're modified Nike shoes, and
Correct.
People are now thinking that Nike has partnered with them to make devil shoes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have to burn all of my Nikes? Is that what you're saying?
You'll be okay.
I had other reasons for wanting to burn all my Nikes, but no, you don't have to
smell?
burn this one.
About the smell?
Hmm?
The stinky feet? Is that what you're talking about?
No.
I do think the story has gotten way more attention because of people like out openly complaining about it. Like I think it should just get an eye roll, like okay, dude, and then just move on. But I think he wanted all this attention, so I think he's getting exactly what he wanted. I saw Trevor Lawrence is out tweeted about it. Was one of the big.
But like, I'm curious. Where is the blood? Where did it come from? And who signed up for that? Okay, so I got a job for you for the next week. You're just gonna have to like what? Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know where. Will the drop of blood be visible? I don't know. Or it's just like inside the soul or something like that.
That actually the soul would be ironic.
Not the human soul, but the
I know
soul of the
it.
shoe.
Yeah, so we'll stay away from talking about that on the air. Otherwise, then the devil wins, I think, right?
Exactly.
That was your whole point.
Old Town Road, still a good song though.
Oh, that's the gotcha.
Yeah.
Great. Good to know he has influence over my kids. Good to know.
Well, that's why people are mad.
One of the reasons they're mad.
And then his response was like, "Wait, did you guys actually listen to the words of Old Town Road? Because you probably should have."
That was not the marketing strategy. It just happened, and he went with
Yeah.
it.
Like, it was never meant to be a kid's song, but the kids, you just couldn't go anywhere without listening to it, without hearing it for a
Which
while.
was horrible because I just thought it was a terrible song. So
But then everyone made a remix of it.
yeah.
And
What
it
you
just
don't
kept-
often hear, Jen, is that really popular kids song is amazing.
It's,
It really speaks to me.
that was just one of those that literally just it was like nails on a chalkboard for me. Just
Well, be happy then you have grown kids and not a 6 and an 8-year-old.
even the Billy Ray Cyrus version.
it didn't care for it. No, I have an older son that likes the song.
I think whatever the algorithm is in music that makes your brain keep repeating it, that hit it big time. Now, just even talking about it, I've already got it. I can feel
that earworm, man.
It's right. It's there.
Right.
Yeah, Trent's really good for my office is right upstairs, right next to like his bathroom, and he gets the speaker going and cranking. And it's like there is some music that like I don't need to hear, and yeah, it gets stuck real quick. All right, about to head back in.
All right, let's do some more Staley sound, please. Yeah, we've done them all but number 3, I believe. So let's do number 3.
That'd be correct.
I'll do a quick liner first, though, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dang. You're busy. Okay, it's ripped.
Bill got through soon on the program. Wanted to give you the heads up. 1075thegame.com, the place to go if you want to have some fun with Bill and try to win a Camp Chef pellet grill in the process. It's Grill Bill. You can enter to win, enter to qualify, I guess is the best way to put that. You throw in your questions. We're going to do it Monday morning where you can grill Bill on anything, nearly anything, radio appropriate. And that'll qualify you as the grand prize is the Camp Chef pellet grill for everybody who is on our Grill Bill segments here in the next couple of weeks. On Monday, next few weeks, then you'll be in that drawing for the Camp Chef pellet grill. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Pork Board, its member farmers, IGA food stores, and Camp Chef. Want to let you hear more from Dawn Staley last night, talking about the evolution of her young team now headed to the Final Four. Final Four, a heck of a goal to have when you're talking about college basketball. And now to do it 3 times in the last 6 years, it just massively impressive. And last night, 0 points in the fourth quarter against Texas. What I just heard, Patrick, is a great example to me of the true genius of coaching, right? It's the push and the pull, dealing with the mixture of players that you have, and then trying to figure out the best formula to get them playing their best basketball and competing at a championship level at the right time. And this is where Dawn Staley, I think, deserves the utmost credit, doing it with this mixture of players, dealing with an injury to her only senior in the tournament that's kept Lily Grissett out. And knowing that this year has presented more unique challenges than any year in the history of college basketball. And we saw it on the men's side, where time and time again, program after program couldn't figure it out. Kentucky, Duke, we're talking about the best programs in college basketball, and the Titans at the top of the coaching profession. They didn't figure it out this year. And Dawn Staley did. You have to give her a bunch of credit for that. And the team, and that's what she was saying in more of her extended comments there in the post-game press conference, that the team and the players deserve that credit. That's where I think we hear it all the time in recruiting, in college, no matter the sport, right? You don't just recruit the player, you recruit the person. And I think that's where this team deserves ultimate credit for dealing with everything involved and stepping up after challenge, and especially losing the regular season championship in conference play not too long ago to Texas A&M, and then responding the way they've responded and clearly playing their best basketball. Last night, 5 players in double figures scored only 62 points. So the way they've done it, it is reminiscent of that 2017 national championship run where they lost one of their best players going into that thing, and Elena Coates, she was not available in the NCAA tournament, and then ran to a title. To me, it's very similar to that, which Staley deserves even more credit because obviously you did not have COVID implications and the bubble to consider back then, or to handle, I should probably say, back then. How she's done it and where this team is right now is truly remarkable.
Well, yeah, and just because they are so young, like we talk about Duke and Kentucky, these teams in the men's side that were unable to navigate the struggles of this year because they're so young, and those kids hadn't really faced any type of adversity like that. They just probably weren't ready for it. But this team has been ready for everything. I don't know if it's just maybe these girls come into the culture of winning, and you see a Ty Harris and you see a Kiki Herbert-Harrigan who have won a national championship, and they've just established that culture. That's why I think you have the most confidence, is that they're just coming in and expecting to win at all times. Like, all of these girls are so talented that they just expect to go out there and dominate every game. So the stage.
But here's the difference. But the issue is, and Dawn Staley was talking about it last night, that all these supremely talented players come in and they are used to totally dominating, especially from a scoring perspective, and their roles have to change now. And you have to have a level of selflessness, and to do it so early in your career is a really difficult thing to do. And it hasn't been perfect this year. There have been some struggles, and there have been 4 losses. And I think that's what Dawn Staley was talking about in that comment that we just heard about meeting the challenges and becoming mentally tough. And that's the really interesting part to me, Patrick, when you're coming up with a schedule and you're dealing with challenges throughout the college basketball season, how the team responds. I think this is probably overly simplifying things. But in the women's game, one thing that Dawn Staley doesn't have to account for is a one and done, right? The WNBA, I think, has the rule you have to be at least 3 years in college or 21 years old. I forget which one it is. I think it's 21 years old. That's why one of the reasons why we saw Asia Wilson play all 4 years. So that mindset isn't there on the women's side of things to come to college for a year, then jump to the NBA like it is on the men's side. So that has to make it a little bit easier. But still, even deciding to come to South Carolina, Zia Cook was talking about how the players that came in that ridiculous recruiting class from a couple of years ago, that she and Bria Beal and Aaliyah Boston headline, they could have gone somewhere else and shot as many times as they wanted to, been the face of the program and not been just one of the faces or a kind of a cog in the machine that is Gamecock women's basketball. But they didn't do that. And you have to give them all the credit. And then you have to give Dawn Staley a bunch of credit for knowing which buttons to push when and knowing how to handle this extremely unique set of challenges in 2021 that we've seen other big-time coaches, titans of college basketball, simply not up to the challenge for multiple reasons. And the circumstances, kind of vary in every situation. But as we heard from her not too long ago here on the show, that this program has dealt with challenges, and an assistant coach lost their mother, and a player lost her uncle recently while they're in the bubble, and dealing with that and being able to compartmentalize and then still play their best basketball this season. Again, extremely commendable on so many levels, and will be interesting to continue to follow their run now in the Final Four, and a tough matchup against another number one seed in Stanford coming up at 6 o'clock on Friday. On the men's side of things, I apologize for not mentioning the detail a little bit earlier, and Mike called me out on it on the YouTube live stream. Jalen Mccurry is the name that popped up as USC women's basketball was dominating and keeping Texas scoreless in that fourth quarter. I think is about when it popped up yesterday. The reports that he's going to enter the transfer portal, and Trey Hannibal, the other Gamecock men's basketball player yesterday, that is reportedly now in the transfer portal. Patrick, you mentioned it earlier. You took the approach for the hypothetical Shane Beamer meeting with Gamecock football players going in and say, hey, you don't want to be here? Get out of here. You guys won 2 games last year. We don't need you. We'll find someone just as good, if not better. And the door is right there. Shane Beamer, that's not quite his style. That's more of your style. But you feel like that is an applicable approach to men's basketball after the struggles of last season. To me, Hannibal and Mccurry are kind of representative of what we saw this past season, that they're talented guys. And at times they played really, really well. It just didn't happen very often. And it's almost the opposite of how we've seen the pieces fit together for the women's program. They just didn't fit at all. And now these two guys are going to try to continue their college basketball program somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people are upset because they are talented. Trey Hannibal was going to be that guy that every year you're going to say, all right, just a few less turnovers, let the game slow down a little bit, and he'll be just an elite player. If the game just slows down a little bit, or he just allows it to slow down and stops playing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But again, you're a healthy scratch for a game in a COVID-shortened season. Like, maybe we'll find out years down the road or later on that just something was wrong there behind the scenes, and that's why I'm not going to get all beat up about losing a couple guys from a team that was the worst since well before the Final Four run. Like, there's clearly something felt off with this team all year. I kept mentioning I didn't feel energy watching that game, looking at some other teams that were always running to, whether it's run to help a guy up, running to the bench, or for a free throw or for a TV timeout or anything like that, just standing up the entire game, yelling. You could hear them through the TV when there's no crowd. I didn't feel any of that, which I saw from a lot of other teams. So whatever, wipe your hands clean slate. I don't know how you're going to remedy this problem. It's not the most attractive place to transfer to right now. You don't know who the coach is. There's clearly a lot of issues, but this by itself is not something that's going to make me press the panic button.
Bill, to me, this is a sign that they have reached kind of the internal conclusion within the basketball program. We just haven't heard an official word, and that Frank Martin will be the coach moving forward. I think that's the explanation for the timing of this being a little bit later from an announcement standpoint than other college basketball. I think the number is up to like 1,000 or something ridiculous. Other guys announcing that they're entering the transfer portal. How do you analyze this situation?
reason was, I think, is, as Patrick said, you can point to maybe a lot of different things, and maybe it'll come out. Frank Martin still will end up having, I assume, kind of a year-end press conference at some point, and maybe we'll get a little bit more details on that. So I think at the end of the day, what you end up having is a program that, as we said, is going to hit the reset button. My personal opinion, I don't think South Carolina would have landed a better coach to try and rebuild if they'd have gone in the job market. From talking with people, I don't think that they would have landed a better coach. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't go try or you don't make the effort. I'm not going to argue with anybody who says, well, they had to try, you had to give it your best effort, it's time to move on. But I think that they would have probably landed somebody that not everybody would have been on board with, that the excitement level would be the same, and you probably still would have had the transfers. Now, Frank Martin, who at least has proven that he can build a program. We've seen that. We have seen that, him do it at South Carolina. We'll see if he's able to do it again. And it starts now with finding out what this roster looks like. And I think over the next 3-4 weeks, we'll continue to see the attrition. I know that they talked with, I believe it was Samore Torrance last night. I believe it was a Marquette transfer that I read about yesterday. South Carolina's going to hit the transfer portal hard, as you just mentioned. There's 1,000 guys in that sucker. It's crazy what college basketball is becoming with the transfer portal. So they'll have a roster, but it remains to be seen what that roster will look like next year.
You mentioned that you didn't think South Carolina would get a better basketball coach than Frank Martin. How many of those guys are out there in college basketball? I get it. It was a tough season last year, and the Gamecocks only have the one NCAA tournament in 9 years under Frank Martin. But I think even the most jaded Gamecock fan towards the basketball program, admit you put Frank top 50 at the least as far as coaches in college basketball. I mean, taking South Carolina to a Final Four has got to get you a bunch of credit. Winning as many games as he's won, especially at the SEC the last 5-6 years. I mean, you gotta. Where would you put him? Bill, top 35, top 40? I don't. You could go. I know he's within the top 30, I think, of highest paid coaches out there.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Yeah, I mean, again, it is all in how you want to look at it with South Carolina basketball in the last 10 years, 9 years, 10 years, as we go into year 10, because now you're going to start to make assumptions and predictions on what year 10 will look like. And I know that a lot of people are going to say it's not going to look good. That's fine. But is it about creating a new level of excitement, a new energy, a new blood, or is it about going with a guy who's at least shown he can do it? I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody that Frank Martin is definitely the guy that can rebuild this program. Do I personally think he deserved a chance to do it? Yes, I do. I just, again, given what some of the conversations I had with people I still know in the basketball coaching community that are assistant coaches elsewhere, I don't believe South Carolina was going to land a coach that generated the excitement or the energy that people were hoping for. I think Frank is the best coach to do it. Now he's going to have to maybe change some things. Again, we'll see what this roster looks like next year. That's going to be important. And I'm not going to be one, and I think it's fair if you want to be that fan, which is, it's understandable to not say that next year's a pass. I don't think personally, I know the roster is going to be entirely different. I still don't think that next year is a year that you say is a pass.
803-404-6100, the number into the program. Quick break here. A dramatic story with one NBA team and travel issues last night. Wanted to touch on that when we come back. Hear more from Dawn Staley as well about her third Final Four berth in the last 6 years after a dominating win last night against Texas. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game. The Game is on everywhere. On the air, online, on your phone, or tablet, on the Alexa.
No. Hopefully text message.
see Steven here? Let me put this whole thing up on the live stream. I get it if you're reading the first one and being bitter, Patrick, but you can't read this. If you can read the second one without laughing out loud, then
I'm just stud faces.
I'm just picturing Steven just being a drill sergeant yelling at the top of his lung. Come on, Studley McStud faces. Get it going.
Good morning. What a Wednesday morning.
Attaboy, Steven. Hope already mentioned you on the show, having not picked the Gamecocks to go to the Final Four. Tried to do it in as kind a way as possible.
You can be a fan and be out and not be,
It's true. It's what I said. You were picking with your head and not your heart.
Yeah.
And I respect that. But I also understand how Don Staley would say you jumped off the bandwagon and you're welcome back on. And we all deserve to really thank Mark with the C for finally subscribing to the YouTube channel. She's already told me that's fine this morning. I'm clearly in Hope's doghouse. Next thing we're going to get is a bless your heart.
We're going to get a what?
I'll get a bless your heart next, and then it'll be solidified that I'm dead to Hope.
I doubt there's ever a loss of hope with Hope.
Oh, see what you did there. Yep, she's moving on. Oh, the text line. Good stuff. How about Chris just wants us to make sure that we point out that the women's golf team is number 1 in the country and the men's tennis team has the number 1 ranked team or number 1 ranked player in the country, the top 15 team. Alan thinks we're beating a dead horse by talking about men's basketball, even though they had 2 transfers yesterday. Ryan asked, Frank Martin's a top 50 coach. Why are other teams hiring assistant coaches over him at other schools? And the cocky codger says the real question is, what will the excuses be next year for Frank Martin?
And no one's asked about Florida and LSU pro days today.
Unbelievable.
I just can't.
Unbelievable.
I mean, what are we doing?
True. Florida and LSU?
Yeah.
So it's Kyle Trask and
Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney. Yeah.
Where you got Kadarius Toney?
Kadarius Toney would be a second rounder, I think. I think, I don't know what they are. There were red flags with Kadarius Toney that I know that teams have done a lot of work on coming out of high school. And I assume that his talent will put him in the second round.
Second round. All right.
I assume. If he falls lower than the second round, then it'll be people concerned about off-field stuff.
We hear you, Mike. We talked about our audio issues a little earlier. Sorry if you missed that one. We appreciate the constructive feedback. And this is a hilarious visual for me. I don't know about you guys. Sitting in the Tractor Supply parking lot waiting on them to open so I can get some chicken feed.
I thought maybe he's waiting for the baby chicks.
Love it.
That's true. I did see they were selling those, the one in Lexington. Yeah, I saw that.
That's this time of year.
Thought about picking me up a couple, and then I didn't know what I'd do with them. Like, you know what? After Easter Day, what do you do? Is there a farm they go to, or can you just drop them off at somebody's?
Drop off at a church.
I mean, I feel like I could bring them to your house. Really? Can you just drop them off at a church?
Fire station, hospital.
Dude, it's hilarious, but Bill will do it.
Just show up at Mount Horeb with a box of baby chicks and be like, hey, I got some old clothes from the kids and some baby chicks. Here's both. I'll see you later. I don't even want a receipt. Don't even give me a receipt. I'm good.
Yep.
No, David, no. That is just the most ridiculous analogy I have ever heard.
Well, it depends on what he's trying to mean by it. Because
how can you give that any credit?
Well, because if he's just saying that Frank's best season is equal to, I don't know. I'm trying to help him out, but it's conceivable that even though they didn't win the championship, the Final Four run, based on the past history of South Carolina basketball, is the greatest accomplishment in South Carolina history because you'll probably never see it again. And I got to be honest, I feel like South Carolina will win another championship in baseball. There's too many good things that they have going as a program as a whole. I don't feel like I'll ever see South Carolina make it to the Final Four ever again. And I'll be honest, at 38, I'm pretty sure I may never see South Carolina play on the second weekend of the NCAA basketball tournament again.
Bill, it's not conceivable. I think it's fact.
That you'll never see it. Well, no, you can't say it's fact. I mean,
what you were saying earlier, that it's the most impressive thing in Gamecock athletics. They haven't made a Final Four in the SEC tournament in Frank's run.
It's true.
We're heading back in.
No, I don't have room for a chicken coop. Trust me, that wouldn't go well out here. The HOA would not be happy. I don't know what they do to people.
They keep it in the house.
All right, Europe.
If you guys aren't getting in on this live video stream, you're missing out. Steven paid us the highest compliment ever. Said he's lived in big cities before. We're his favorite radio show by far. This goes along with other comments on the text line, basically thinking we might be the dumbest show of all time and questioning everything we've said this morning. While Bill is figuring out the proper way to handle baby chicks around Easter, it's just complete mayhem. I did want to touch on this story. The Utah Jazz kind of headlining things during COVID in the world, I would say, but certainly in the sports world with the Rudy Gobert situation, rubbed his hands all over the mics after testing positive. He and the Donovan Mitchell deal. Well, both those guys in the news and very thankful for how things turned out yesterday as Utah was leaving Salt Lake City on a plane headed to Memphis. They saw a flash of light and heard a bang from the left engine and had to end up turning around and fortunately landed safely back at Salt Lake International Airport after the plane apparently struck a flock of birds yesterday, not too long after takeoff, and caused an engine fire and failure. But the Utah Jazz, no injuries reported. It's a beautiful day is what Rudy Gobert tweeted out yesterday, and Donovan Mitchell just putting out the praying hands. Putting things in perspective this morning for those that might be grizzled about a laptop or whiteboard over there, Patrick, and talking about a men's basketball program that has a couple of new transfers now in Trey Hanimal and Jalen Mccurry, but Gamecock women's basketball celebrating another Final Four. I guess in some ways, maybe, Bill, that success almost grizzles some Carolina fans in a certain way because you don't see it across the board. Just try to appreciate it for what it is and understand the brilliance of Dawn Staley and what she continues to do with the women's basketball program. We'll talk more about that as we go on into hour number 3. Try to put it in perspective, Bill, because to me, it is a close second now to what Ray Tanner did as the best Carolina coach in USC athletics history, sir.
I think it's fair. That's more than fair, and certainly you're not trying to say that she's accomplished as much because we've gone over everything, but she's continuing to work her way up there with what she does each and every year.
If you were handicapping it, I think you would say that she's going to win a couple more.
Possibly so.
How about that?
Be in her favor.
And you didn't even end that in a question, Patrick. Hour 3 coming up.
I think.
Hold on, I gotta find my phone. I realized half the phone.
Patrick, I think you should make a list on the whiteboard behind you of things that have you the most grizzled. Number one, laptop, right?
All right.
This is Patrick's list of grievances. We're going to put it in order this morning.
It's a March 31st Festivus.
little therapy session here in the top hour break. We got laptop number one. You didn't even pause to go with number two as this is looking good. Can't quite. Guy says I and everything in the question, I'm guessing. He didn't even go with the name. He went with Guy.
I agree with Dave. We no longer can talk about past accomplishments. Past accomplishments are done. It's only what you're doing right now. Mike Krzyzewski is on the hot. I'm with David. Mike Krzyzewski and John Calipari, past accomplishments are nothing. I don't want to hear about what Duke did. Krzyzewski failed with Zion, RJ Barrett, and Cam Reddish. He has done nothing. He is on the hot seat.
What do you got there, Guy? What's number three?
Guy says we talk too much.
Nice. Is that feeling better, Patrick? I hear this is kind of a technique that if things are bothering you, you should write them out. You just get it out.
There was something else.
Probably better than doing the primal screams,
Either way, however you get it out, get it out.
I think this is probably more amenable to the neighbors.
I do. I like that better, but now I can't see the comments if I go full screen. Because now I can read what he's saying in the back.
Basketball after 9 p.m. Great call. Great call.
That was I hated that last night.
Can we say what Chris wrote in there? Patrick, are you familiar with the term laggy, a red-headed lefty?
A what?
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't even know if we can say that. A red-headed lefty apparently is a thing.
I don't know, Trey, but yeah, Coach K's past accomplishments no longer mean anything. He is on the hot seat.
Is he tenured?
Izzo got to the tournament this year, and he's got Amani Bates coming in, I think.
Maybe. Probably not, actually.
You think he'll end up going to the G League?
Yeah.
Signing on for the G League?
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I think, Chris, you came up with a new term accidentally. Red-headed lefties are now laggies somehow.
I wish I could find a way to keep this and go. There you go. Get some sunlight in there or something. Open the curtain.
Not even remotely sunny.
No, it's not. It was. We don't even have a soccer game this week, and we're supposed to have practice tonight. There is nobody pulling for rain harder than I am right now.
Yep, and that is that's helpful. I mean, that's much better, Patrick. It's looking pretty good back there. How much more closely can you pull that whiteboard up to you?
Much more.
Like I think I think you gotta put it on your shoulder almost.
I was gonna say, I think you can go a little bit further to your left, and the board can come up almost where you can point at it directly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the height of my desk very much.
Too low or too high?
Too high.
Cut it off.
This is gonna be better when I get a ring light.
You think so?
Yeah, because that. Oh, I have a pointer too, Bill.
Oh, wow, Professor Perret.
Now the ring light, I'm afraid you're going to see the perimeter of the ring.
I think that's the whole point of it, is that it
Fades everything out, right?
fades everything
Jen,
out,
have you not seen those ring lights?
I
There's-
have, but like if you
I
look at
haven't.
people's eyes, you can kind of see the ring like in their eyes. So
This
I
is
think
also my laptop here.
hopefully it'll soften it, but brighten.
I don't really know how to get rid of my.
Right.
Yeah, you're right, Trey.
Trey's adding to the list. Love it. Maybe that's what we should do. every morning in the pre-8 o'clock break, the pre-8 o'clock hour, everybody just air out your grievances. Patrick will write them down on the board.
Ooh.
It's like the worry box, you're supposed to put all your worries in a box or something. And
Okay. Mine is a length of pitching circle in coach pitch baseball. It's way too far away. What are you doing? Why wouldn't you move it closer?
so in other words, Tim wants a pitching machine already.
Yeah.
No, not going that far. A couple kids got to get hit in the process. They got to get hit. I'm not a pitching machine guy.
Do you go down on one knee, or are you a one knee guy? No.
No, it's too far away, man. Attaboy. Good luck. Good luck in the feed store there. Tell them to subscribe to the YouTube channel in there. See what kind of you get.
Yeah. What do you should just be walking around with us on your phone the entire time. Just
That's looking better, Patrick. Looking better. Nice framing there.
Yeah.
Urban Dictionary, laggy.
so
Nothing.
Jen, Kyle Larson didn't finish the race Monday, did he?
No, Patrick, that was a complete mistake by Chris.
Really.
He meant to type lefty.
So do we each get just one point?
No, it's based on how they finished.
Well, Trey's getting it all out this morning.
Never expected Logano to win that race. Just didn't see it.
Neither did I.
What? Why, Sonny? What's wrong with his board? Just what is wrong with people this week?
It's the end of Lent, isn't it? The end of Lent.
Yeah, you're right. It's got to be what it is.
Everybody's just had enough.
Thanks, Jan. I did not see that. I did not get to see all of the race. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whoa.
Skimpy. What do you want to?
Just thing was
is it
off.
just because it's vertical instead of horizontal?
Oh man.
Amen, Robert.
So technically, I don't.
$200. First of all, it wasn't skimpy.
I guess according to ESPN, the race results, even though they wrecked at the same time, Kyle Larson finished 29th and Christopher Bell finished 34th. How does that even work? I guess because Kyle Larson was able to run 248 laps. That's why.
Right.
All right.
Down like 136 laps or something.
That's all right. Be all right.
Nope. Not going to calm down, Sonny. You're making a list.
Can we do number 5 real quick, Jen?
Yeah.
Are we coming back? Sonny's
I'm
on the
back. Actually going to do a show.
Make no mistake, this team came together. This team is playing some of their best basketball at the right time. And for all the people that doubted this moment, you can come on back. We always got room on the bandwagon for.
I love the way we're starting hour number 3 here. Dawn Staley bringing it strong after getting to her third Final Four in the last 6 years last night, shutting Texas out in the fourth quarter. First time that's ever happened. Patrick is finally smiling on the show going into hour number 3 as the grievance board has been born. If you're missing that live video stream, you got to join on the YouTube, Facebook Live. You can check us out on Twitter as well. And Bill is grizzled. For whatever reason.
I'm appreciative of what Dawn did, and look, I don't want to take away from that. That last sentence, man, that's Dabo-esque. That's little old Clemson. Dawn didn't need to do that last night. No, you're a 1 seed. You have 4 losses. Okay, nobody doubted you. ESPN had an article about the top teams in the tournament, and you were in the top 4. Maybe nobody doubted. To my knowledge, did any?
Bill, yes.
People thought that Maryland was going to beat them, though. So when Texas beat Maryland, nobody was saying, "Oh man,
Bill,
bad matchup here."
who one of, if not our favorite person on this show is Hope, who has pushed our drive to the YouTube channel subscribers. Hope is as big a Gamecock fan as I know. Hope's name is Hope, and she still didn't have the Gamecocks making the Final Four in her bracket.
It's called an emotional hedge.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying, Bill, you have to understand that the way that we look at the world is not the way Dawn Staley looks at the world. And clearly it's worked out well for Dawn Staley.
No kidding. I'm going to get in her mind.
Well, two things. One, still, they were a 1 seed. And two, all you're doing right now is grooming Hope to be the next Gamecock Larry. That's all, because she will never pick against the Gamecocks ever again after what's happening. She will never pick against.
She's true to her heart.
She will never. But this is how when you make mistakes in predictions, things change, and she'll never pick against the Gamecocks again. She will just take the baton. She's the apprentice. She will just after this. But that's all. They're a good basketball team, and they have set a standard, and maybe part of it, I don't know, maybe part of it for some people is last year, the expectation was so high for a tournament that got canceled that this year they were a little bit more down to earth, or there was a little bit more of a question mark. Just that maybe there was more teams competitive with them, but I don't feel like doubting is different. That's like saying that they had a rough year, they were a 4 seed, and then
that's how you hear it. Right? And that's how I think most rationally thinking people hear it. But when you're in the stratosphere of Dawn Staley, from a competition standpoint, I mean, this to me is very reminiscent of the Michael Jordan slights, right? And what was that, The Last Dance, where they tell the story about some jazz player telling him something that he never said. He made the whole thing up and was just completely set on proving people wrong or that person wrong. Or
no, the story that
rational.
What was the story again? The story that bothered me about Jordan was the playoff game, and I forget who the coach was, who saw him at dinner the night before, walked by and was like, "Hey man, hope you have good seeing you. Hope you have a good game." And Jordan's like, "I took that personally. Like he didn't think I could have a good game." And you're like, "Well,
it's George Curl."
Oh, okay,
George Curl, the Carolina guy. Yeah,
North Carolina guy. You're watching it thinking, well, if he walks by and doesn't say anything to you, you're going to take it personally. Right. Like that's just hearing what you want to hear.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. And that's what these supremely competitive, super coaches and players do, and it's one of the ways they're different than the rest of us. I think Patrick is different than the rest of us because he's finally smiling, but he's got a grievance board up, his whiteboard that we didn't do anything. Anthony from Kershaw personally sponsored on this show to help Patrick's NFL draft preparation and to help us have a visual on the live video stream. Now is a grievance board, and you've already flipped it over, right? This thing has continued over to the other side. Would you like to tell everybody as we start hour number 3 here? We'll discuss the sports and the Final Four and the transfers from Gamecock basketball on the men's side of things, and baseball winning their 6th straight last night. But start us off. Number 1 on the grievance board.
Number 1 is laptop issues.
That's for you.
A problem. Number 2 is the guy that before I had even spoken this morning started criticizing me for saying I end every statement with a question or in a questionary tone. Number 3, the guy that said that we talk too much during a talk radio show. Number 4, basketball games starting after 9 p.m. because I can't watch them because I have to work.
Not only do they start after 9 p.m. Patrick, 9:57 was too.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
9 p.m. basketball game. What are we doing?
I'm with you on that.
Number 5, the lighting situation here. And then flip it over. Number 6 was Sonny, but I forget. I'm okay with Sonny now. We're good. Number 7.
It didn't take long.
Bandwagoners. All the people that doubted Dawn Staley. And number 8 is about to be people that call me Pearson.
Well done. @_ Patrick Perrette, where you can
We are different people.
you can get on board on the Twitter handle there.
No,
Maybe
you don't want to get on the board. That's not
Right,
good if you're
right.
on the board.
but you can throw your suggestions out there for future grievance board editions that we'll make a staple here on the show. Well done, sir. I like what you're doing. Patrick has had a pot of coffee and then some, I think. He is in rare form. We figured it out. Who figured it out for us? Bill, was that you, the end of Lent? Was that you that came up with it?
You guys are
Not yet.
myself.
Well done. I mean, all by yourself. Here as Lent winds down, he figured out that I think you're down to the root cause, because we've got some. I read off a list of text, I think, during the live stream break here at the top of the hour, and it's just grizzled people out there where I thought it would be a bunch of sunny, optimistic Gamecock fans this morning after Carolina basketball last night, third Final Four in 6 years. Like, for instance, Bob just hit us up. Guys, I love watching all the ladies on the team. Dawn Staley is a special lady and coach. Aaliyah Boston is awesome. However, I do enjoy watching Destiny Henderson the most. I believe she could play with the guys. She is so fast and an excellent ball handler. How about that? So, Bob, coming in as maybe the most positive text we've gotten in here. Justin playing along with the hashtag Patrick Fowler. Well done. That does sound. That's a solid name. You could work in sports for a long time with that name, Patrick. The Patrick Perrette.
I think if we're going to combine names, Pearson Brett sounds better. I like alliteration.
That's a good point. That is a really good one. Let's quickly touch on, if we're going to be a serious sports talk show for a second, what we saw in the fourth quarter has never been done in women's basketball history. Scoreless fourth quarter. Now, Jen, I think you probably put it perfectly. And Texas kind of checked out at that point. They realized they weren't going to win the game. They had expended so much energy, and the Gamecocks are so solid on defense that they were done. And John Staley, after the game, admitted, "Oh, I didn't even realize they didn't score in the fourth quarter." He was locked in, and they're going to need a performance very similar to what you saw last night, and probably a little bit better from Aaliyah Boston. I get it; she scored 10 points, had 8 rebounds, but she's an All-American. And maybe defensively is where you give her the most credit on Charlie Collier, who is expected. I had no idea. And Patrick, maybe you should put this on, as part of your board, WNBA draft projections. Collier is expected to go number 1, limiting her to 2 to 10 shooting, 4 points and 4 rebounds. Tremendous. So I'm probably not giving her credit for the overall game as opposed to just looking offensive.
Collier was also exhausted trying to cover Aaliyah Boston too, so I think Aaliyah Boston, just activity level on the offensive end, really played into that. And looking at the box score, I was so surprised to see she only had 1 assist. She does a lot of facilitating for that offense as a big. Like, she'll catch it at the top of the key and just make a lot of things happen from there. She's got really good vision.
I was just looking at the box score we get from the university. They don't break it down just by fourth quarter, but obviously Texas didn't score a point, didn't make a shot. Do you know how many shot attempts they took in the fourth quarter?
I do have it in front of me. We mentioned it earlier. Patrick, do you remember is the question.
Attempts? We know how many shot attempts Texas had in the fourth quarter?
They were 0 for, finish this sentence. Do you know what they were?
Ready to play along at home or in your car?
I'll say a dozen.
Good guess. Jen, you in on that?
I was going to say like 18.
Okay, right in between the average of you two guys. Well done. 0 for 15 in the fourth quarter shooting.
Seemed like they shot a lot.
Yeah, I was just going to go back and look at the breakdown of how it was statistically in the fourth quarter. It doesn't give me that. It does tell me shot attempts. I mean, South Carolina was 4 of 13 in the fourth quarter. South Carolina outscored them 10-0. Just overall, just quick things. We talked about the points in the paint, 38-20 in favor of South Carolina last night. Points off turnovers, 14-4. And again, the concern that I think at least ESPN had in some of the articles I read going into the tournament was outside shooting for South Carolina. 7 attempts last night. They didn't need it. Patrick, you talked about it. I think you put up a tweet within 5 minutes of the start of the game, how the first 5 baskets all came in the lane, in the paint, just attacking the rim. And that's how this team will go about winning the national championship. And they are a legitimate contender for the national championship. We said this after the Connecticut game, or I think we agreed. Don't let me speak for y'all, but I think we agreed that even though they lost that Connecticut game, you felt like because it was on the road that Connecticut didn't have as much room for growth as South Carolina did after that game, and that South Carolina did not play a good game up in Stores, and that if they met again, I like South Carolina in a neutral court. If they had continued growth, I like South Carolina's potential to win that game. And I don't know much about Stanford. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend that I know anything about Stanford women's basketball at this moment, but you feel like that's what we're heading for.
Wait, did you just smack the whiteboard with the pointer there, Patrick?
Yeah.
No, I accidentally
The table?
smacked my desk with it.
This could get ugly really quick.
No doubt.
We're going to need donations for more of these pointers that he's got.
Actually, you know what? What's going to happen is he's going to have different things, like different foods. They have like little donuts, and then he'll like stab it, and be flipping them, and then getting pieces of fruit, and it's going to get silly.
Interesting visual for sure. As you were talking about that, Bill, it reminded me of how far this program has come. You said they are national championship contenders, and I physically reacted to that. Of course they are. I mean, that's what this program has been now for the last 4 or 5 seasons. I mean, they won the national championship in 2017 without one of their best players being available, and Elena Coates being hurt in that run. This year, very similar now. Lily Grissett, not at the All-American level that Coates was, but a big-time contributor, not available in the NCAA tournament, and yet still running the Final Four in dominating fashion. And that game against UConn earlier this season really pointed to me how far this program's come. I know Carolina handled them the previous year in Columbia and got the one win in the program against UConn. But you guys remember, even when they had Asia Wilson and Elena Coates, they go up to Connecticut and don't compete. It was 2 different levels. It was the best in college basketball on the women's side, where Carolina gotten to, and then there was UConn. And this year, the last several years, that hasn't been the case. That's not the case this year. And UConn was lucky to win that game for sure. And South Carolina has every we were talking about Gonzaga, and as you were talking about breaking down the game, that's what it reminded me of in the women's version, because you had so many talented players that beat you in so many different ways for the Gamecocks. And that's what Gonzaga is, and they're the highest favorite I think you've seen in the Final Four, maybe ever, is what I've been reading in Vegas. South Carolina is not quite that, but they're not far off. And just the fact that they do it in a selfless way, and these players are doing it at this point in their career, freshmen and sophomores mostly, is the really impressive part. And how they'll compete against Stanford, I have no idea, but I got to think playing Friday at 6 o'clock is helpful now for this team, that they don't have to sit and wait too long and hear how good they are and let that really digest the magnitude of it, that they can just get right back on the floor and get back to what they've been doing.
That what you said, you were talking about it while I was gone. I was listening on the radio about the girls, the rules in the women's game about heading straight to the WNBA, or the one and done in the college in the men's side versus the women's side. And I actually had a really just kind of interesting conversation with a college coach over the weekend about this, about how the pressure. Perfect example was last night. The pressure on a guy like Mark Few to take a Jalen Suggs, the best recruit they've ever had, a one and done guy, and to be successful with him in the 1 year he's got him, as opposed to a Dawn Staley who gets this great recruiting class. And let's be honest, if this was on the men's side and she didn't make the Final Four like Coach K, when Coach K had that great recruiting class, we know Duke's a good program. We know they're a great program, but that was a failure of a year. An absolute, and the pressure that his own coaches like that in the one and done era, where Dawn Staley can say, hey, I get to develop these girls. I get to bring them along slowly. And you're seeing that. I think you're seeing it a little bit right now as she talks about, I think you guys played a clip before I got back where she was talking about what they did during the season to prepare them from now, start to prepare them for this moment, and how she saw it paying off last night in that game. And it is an interesting part of the men's and the women's side when you talk about a guy like Mark Few, who right now he's got some really good upperclassmen, but he's got Jalen Suggs, who is the best recruit they've ever had, and it's that window you feel like is going to close on him, and then he'll have to redo it again. Although they're in line, I think, to get the number 3 player in the country out of Minnesota. But for schools like Kentucky, Patrick, you and I talked about it. You get these guys in; they didn't play good at Kentucky this year. They're still declared for the draft. And it's interesting how Dawn Staley's allowed to build her program with elite recruits over time, as opposed to having all the pressure on you to get it done so quickly.
Yeah, because Cook, Boston, and Beal is Zion, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty much exactly what it is. And, yeah, Gonzaga is going to lose most likely 4, if not all 5 starters after this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the women's version of that, much different than the men's. And as you were talking about that, Bill, it definitely dawned on me. It's just a different type of culture. And what Mike Boynton dealt with at Oklahoma State may be a good example, too, with Cade Cunningham. And he's basically turned that into what, $20 million? I think it's a 7-year deal worth $3 million per now. And Mike Boynton just signed at Oklahoma State to stay there. I saw the tweet, I think it was from yesterday, said born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, developed in Columbia, South Carolina, but this is home now, talking about Stillwater, Oklahoma. And Mike Boynton going to be the Oklahoma State coach, it looks like, for a long time to come. Without Cade Cunningham, would we be right now? I don't think we would.
He was on the hot seat. He was on the hot seat going into the year. And
without Cade Cunningham, they probably would have just accepted their postseason ban, too.
That's actually very true. Remember, that's coming for them as well.
Right.
They're going to get that. Yeah.
It's crazy how one player can make such a difference in a program. And to me, it's crazy how it hasn't been one player for USC women's basketball. You can go so many names. And the latest one's Ty Harris and Kiki Harrigan, the seniors from last year who didn't get the chance to make this NCAA tournament run that they seem destined to be on. Dawn Staley honoring those players by name in the post-game press conference and mentioning the massive impact that they've had even on this year's team after they have left. But to do it at such a young point in a lot of these players' college careers, impressive for sure. Now I see that Hope and Allen don't want us to even talk about UConn at all with Stanford up next. Guys, we're not the team and the coaches. We're okay. We're not going to jinx anything there. It's them that have to take it the one game at a time. We can talk about that kind of stuff. We'll be all right. We're going to talk about the men's developments from yesterday, a couple of transfers when we come back. Also talk Gamecock baseball now, a 6-game winning streak to balance out that 6-game losing streak they had after starting 11-0 and heading on the road to Georgia this weekend. Let you hear a little bit more from Dawn Staley as well. That comment that Bill was talking about specifically about how this team is so mentally tough. That's next. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. The grievance board. What a day. What a day.
We might have to pitch in to get you a second board or something. Now, do you got an eraser, or are you going to just have the paper towel?
No, I got an eraser.
Well, so you can just go ahead and erase Sonny's name off the other side, just to.
Yeah.
So you're taking them off. You got off the list there. Yeah.
Trey said number 8 would be forced nicknames. That is absolutely right. That is a major pet peeve.
Put it on there.
Oh, you just okay.
You're reordering? Okay.
No, because Sonny made a good suggestion too. Said live show at the spring game. What time's the spring game? Is it
2
noon?
o'clock.
2. So I think my plan is going to be to do that at least for a little bit. I think I might be doing the Baseball SEC Network Plus that day. That's still TBA, but I think it's going to be after the spring game that afternoon, maybe. Are you good to do it like usual, Bill?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask. I didn't.
I still got to get that cleared with USC, actually. I'll send out an email and try to make that happen here.
Oh, Alan, you played golf. You played in the same group with him? Or
Nice.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Dad played in one golf tournament. I played in another. We had both courses in Lexington held down.
And Travis, that's going to be on the SEC Network Plus, like all the spring games this year, except for Alabama, which is on the regular SEC Network, which really has Bill ticked off.
It's just unfair recruiting advantage. I mean, put them on. What is the SEC Network? This will be a rant. What is the SEC Network really there for if you're not going to air the spring games? And they're like, well, we'll come back and air them later on during the summer. What have you got going on the 24th, the 17th, the 24th, the 10th? I don't have a list of all the spring games, but you have a network dedicated to a conference, and you're going to put it on the internet? And it's free. The SEC Network Plus is free. Like, I've got the app. You can –
I thought the last spring game, the reason it was on Plus was because another spring game got the SEC Network.
Right.
You're just upset about the priority that South Carolina gets on SEC Network.
Oh, well, I'm defending all 13. I'm defending everybody except Alabama.
Other teams, Georgia's spring game is aired live on SEC Network.
Not this year.
Not this year.
Only Alabama. Of all the spring games, only Alabama's.
And Alabama's on ESPN.
Well, it should be. But what are they actually playing? Do you have like a programming?
It's probably baseball.
Baseball and or softball.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's fine.
Exactly. Shut your hole.
So what are you ranting about?
Honest question. Do you think like Missouri fans, what do you think Missouri fans would rather, or Georgia fans, do you think they'd rather see a spring football game or a baseball game? You remember, we're in the minority on this on watching baseball games. And if, as Tim just said, if the South Carolina baseball game is not on the SEC Network, if it's on SEC Network Plus that day, fans won't be happy. That's fine. If you want to put South Carolina baseball on that day on the SEC Network, that's going to be a little bit different. They already got that television schedule out, actually.
Chad, we already are a morning sports TV show, man. That's what the internet is. The YouTube channel is a channel. We're good.
I just realized I'm number 5 in my bracket pick'em. I got a chance to, if Gonzaga wins, I could make a run here. I could possibly get into the top 2 or 3.
Jen, can we play number 3 coming back, please?
Okay.
I will do a liner quickly beforehand.
Okay. 3.
Thank you.
Patrick, just for the record, on that day, April 24th, it's Florida at Auburn at noon and Georgia at Missouri at 5 o'clock. That's your 2 baseball games that they're airing that day.
These are the draft projections of the guys having pro day today.
This is a great time of year for all kinds of viewing. I love watching women's softball too. I just like college softball. I've always
I watched the LSU Florida game on Saturday.
Did you? Yeah.
It really is a great time because now you've got everything going on, and you got Masters starts next week.
Major League Baseball starts.
Major League Baseball starts tomorrow. There's no game tonight. There's no singular game tonight. Kickoff game, is there?
I don't think so.
First pitch game, whatever. It all starts. It's all opening day tomorrow.
Oh, I don't know. Typically there is. Check it out on SECsports.com. I'll tell you real quick at the top there.
Wait, what are you talking about? Why would I look at the Major League Baseball schedule on SECsports.com?
Sorry, my bad.
No game. Yeah, nothing tonight. Everything starts tomorrow. Blue Jays, Yankees at 1:05. The Nationals are on tomorrow night, Patrick. They got the Mets.
Yeah. It's Scherzer DeGrom.
So a liner, and you said 3?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, guys, we're up.
Two things I'm going to give you a heads up on. 1075thegame.com, the place to go to enter to win a grill courtesy of The South Carolina Pork Board, its member farmers, IGA food stores, and Camp Chef. That Camp Chef pellet grill worth more than $1,000. Grill Bill is what you get to do. All you got to do is throw a few questions out there. And if you qualify, every Monday the next few weeks, we're going to do Grill Bill, make him uncomfortable, have some fun on Monday mornings here on the early game, and then we'll pick a grand prize winner for Grill Bill, that Camp Chef pellet grill. Also, Hot Take Hotline, always there for you. Bill just went on a gas baggy hot take on the live video stream during the break. We've got it there for you on the phone lines at 803-978-6654. That Hot Take Hotline sponsored by Twin Peaks. For the never settle, go see him down in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street. Wanted to let you hear more from Don Staley after the 62-34 beatdown of Texas last night to get to the third Final Four in the last 6 years, talking about everything her young team has been through to make that happen.
I question that, from time to time. But when they're able to tangibly do what they did today, they made huge strides. And that's all we were trying to do throughout the season, is get them to a point where we can compete for a national championship. And then all the other stuff, those are great lessons that we could, look back on and say, hey, if another teammate's going through that, we did this, we corrected it, and we moved on and checked off one of our goals.
Don Staley, again, after the dominating performance her team put up, first time ever that a women's basketball team held another team scoreless in a quarter, 10-0 last night, en route to the 62-34 win. Wanted to get out quickly to the Love Chevy phone lines. Kevin going to join us at 803-404-6100 talking Gamecock women's basketball. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing well. You?
I'm doing good. I have 3 points I wanted to make. The second was, the first one was, I was watching a game last night, and during the warm-up, he announced that the young lady from Texas, Charlie, whatever her name, already declared that she's going pro. Mm-hmm. Now, I believe she went 2 for 8 or 2 for 10 for 4 points. So she might need to look at the tape again before she does it.
Number 2.
My second point is also listen to the commentary during the game. They said Carolina currently has 6 McDonald's All-Americas on the team, and 4 more coming next year. And my understanding is Don Staley got 4 out of the top 5 players in the country. So they are loaded. And point number three on top of loading, on top of that, we have talent right here in the Columbia area, and these girls know each other. And Don, I guess you can't talk about recruiting until they've actually signed. But these girls are only either sophomores or juniors. And I'm going to give y'all some names to look out for, because I've been watching these girls for years. I said they're either sophomores or juniors. One, her name is, they call her Cheese Watkins. She goes to Cardinal Newton. She's been dunking since the 8th grade. And the other is Aleda Fulwiler. Her grandfather was in school. And she goes to Keenan, taking them to the state championship since she was in the 8th grade. So, I mean, the well is not running dry anytime soon. I hope Don locks these 2 young ladies down, and Carolina will be solid for a while.
Lord, the girl that you're talking about, Ashlyn Watkins, is a 6'3" post player. Yeah, Cardinal Newman. She is number 13 on the ESPN rankings in the 2022 class. I don't see the other young lady, but it sounded like she might be a lot younger. I'm only looking at 2022 class. And just to back up Kevin's point real quick, Don Staley has landed the number 2, number 3, and number 4 player in the 2021 class. Raven Johnson, a point guard, Sanaya Rivers, a 6-foot guard, and Sanaya Fagan, 6'3" post player. So yeah, 2, 3, and 4. So yeah, she's got a few more ballers coming in here next year to help out the team, just in case.
Got to make sure we get Cheese in the building now.
It's a
Yeah,
great nickname.
thinking
Isn't
about that.
That's a
It just makes me think of old school. Yeah, the Jimmy Pimpton. Oh yeah, cheese.
Yeah, I think it was Ashland. Let's go with Ashland.
Kevin, appreciate the phone call. 803-404-6100. You can call or text that same number. Gamecock men's basketball, just in comparison, right? Those McDonald's All-American numbers are ridiculous. There have been 4 all time.
Hey, hold on, real quick. The other girl I just found her, the other girl that he was talking about is number 3 overall. The young lady from Keenan, point guard, number 3 overall in the 2023 class. So he is right. There's some the young ladies coming up here in the state. You've got one who's number 13 in her class, and then one who's number 3 overall. So very informative. Thank you for that phone call, Kevin. There is some talent coming up through the state, and I believe she also just offered Ryan Stack's daughter as well, former Gamecock.
Well, that's why I put out the tweet last night that Don Staley is closing the gap in a hurry between she and Ray Tanner for greatest Gamecock coach of all time. And I did not see that coming this quickly within a decade of Ray Tanner retiring from the Gamecock baseball program. By the way, no problem last night with Gardner Webb. 4 early runs in the first inning, including a 3-run shot from Wes Clark. And the number's ridiculous. I saw Derek Scott put up a tweet, I think. Maybe I heard it at some point. 4 out of his last 5 hits or 5 out of his last 6, something like that. I think Tommy Moody might have dug this one up. Home runs. He's up to 14 on the year. And the Gamecocks kind of broke a streak. I believe Gardner Webb had won back-to-back games against Carolina in this midweek in the last several years. And the pitcher that was going for Gardner Webb, one of the guys that beat the Gamecocks. And no problem last night, 9-4 the final score at Georgia this weekend is where Carolina will try to keep a 6-game win streak going. On the men's side of basketball, it was Trey Hannibal and Jalen Mccurry, the news coming out yesterday, going to enter the transfer portal. Bill, you mentioned you anticipated the turnover on the roster after a 6-15 season. To me, it's the timing of all this that's really the most interesting part of it, because you see, it's like 1,000 names, literally, I think, in men's college basketball that are in the transfer portal. But most of these guys obviously popping in before yesterday, and the timing of the Frank Martin coaching situation kind of getting resolved, at least publicly, kind of, I think, crystallizing with this news that there is some resolution and now they're going to move forward.
Yeah, and now we'll watch and see what the remainder of the roster looks like. And he's got 3 players now currently signed for this class: Jacoby Wright, Taquan Woodley, 2 of the better players, and actually guys that I do like. We'll see what they're able to come in and do and how much they're able to help. Carlos Williams is the 3rd player Devin Carter is another guard, 3rd player that's already signed. So you've got Wright, Woodley. Is it Woodley or Woodbury? I need to go back and look at that to see exactly what his last name is. He was originally committed to Penn State and then ended up choosing South Carolina. And then Carlos Williams is the 4th player who is not signed yet, is expected to sign in the spring. So we'll see if he does that here in the month of April. And then you have to fill it out with transfers. I think you're going to have to go into that look at that transfer portal and see who fits the team well enough that can contribute in 2021.
To me, this is a matter of, you said the reset button before, Bill. I thought that was going a little bit too far, but we'll continue to see. We'll continue to follow this thing, and we still haven't heard anything publicly about Frank Martin's contract situation, having just 2 years remaining, about where that's going, how that might get resolved. We haven't gotten kind of the typical post-season wrap-up press conference from Frank, kind of going back through things. I was especially interested in this after he had said, I think going into the SEC tournament, that he had some theories about why this season ended up how it ended up. He just wasn't ready to put those out there since the season was still ongoing at that point, but would do it after the season. I'm really interested to hear those comments, especially how they may relate. Patrick, you pointed out accurately about Trey Hannibal getting the day off for one game there down the stretch, and how odd that is, and that was, and how you think, not even you think, it was obvious that there were issues, some internal issues with the chemistry of this team on the floor, and now seeing a couple of guys transfer out, certainly not surprising. So it looks like it's bad there.
Well, we all said it. I think, Patrick, you can finish that thought. I mean, when it happened, the day it happened, you had to. Nobody gets a day off on game day. Who are they going to play? Georgia? Was that the day? Is that who it was?
I can't even remember.
Yeah, it was the end of January. I mean, it's just you can put the pieces together. Go ahead, Patrick. You were going to say something. But
I was just saying, clearly, we don't think talent was the issue this year. We know experience wasn't the issue this year. Clearly, there was something that wasn't meshing right with the personalities on the team. So if you get a new group, a couple freshmen that are excited to be here, high energy, hopefully have some high energy. I know Jacoby Wright's had a really big year this year, it sounded like. And I've seen some highlights of the Devin Carter kid. He can absolutely fly. He's going to be excited to watch. Couple that with a couple transfers that are excited for a new change of scenery and all that stuff. Hopefully you can get the ship righted faster than you might hope.
Wanted to make sure that we pointed out, Hank helped us out with another Gamecock women's basketball recruiting name. The number 8 player in that 2022 class is Talasia Cooper from East Clarendon. So if you're out that way and mad at us for not mentioning Talasia Cooper, Hank, thanks for helping us out there. This came in 3 minutes before a text on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. How did we get Dawn Staley? Is this her first coaching stint? Patrick, you might want to put that on the board. What are we up to on the grievance board? What number? I want to put that text out there.
But he just wanted to know how did Dawn Staley end up getting the job initially?
She was at Temple, and Eric Hyman did a really good job. Eric Hyman deserves. There's some people who don't like Eric Hyman, but I think there's a lot of Gamecock fans who should be very thankful for what Eric Hyman did for the women's basketball program. He had a lot of foresight into not only hiring Dawn Staley, but again, we talked about it earlier, having Tim, what would you say, the guts, the fortitude to pay her more than a guy who was winning national championships in baseball at the time, which just did not sit well when Dawn Staley was struggling early on. And now, obviously, it's one of the best programs in the country.
Foresight and follow through is what Eric Hyman had. He had the foresight to see that Dawn Staley could make this happen at South Carolina, and he followed through even after several years of struggle. And Dawn Staley mentioning it in her post-game comments last night. She was asked about, did she see this coming? And did she even envision this? And she said, yeah, she thought Eric Hyman was crazy for telling her it was going to take several years because she just wins. That's what she was used to. And it was a struggle, but clearly the foundation, the struggle is well worth it, and the foundation much more than solid, as strong as you could imagine it for USC women's basketball, rolling into this third Final Four now in the last 6 years, and it doesn't look like there is any end in sight for this Gamecock basketball program. 803-404-6100. Again, the number if you'd like to get in a final thought. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
What are you laughing at now?
I'm laughing at my email. Jen will be able to explain her email to me. I'll have her do it after she gets done with the traffic.
Did y'all see this article in Johnny Manziel? Not that we need to get into it, but he discussed partying during the season at Texas A&M. Let me read the exact quote. He talks about how he got in trouble. He says, every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we had a full-blown King's Cup beer Olympics at the house, drinking Natty Lights, and Old Milwaukee's was on sale for $16.99. That was the best. So that's how he spent his 2012 season.
Wow. Anthony, if you think the show's been good so far, Jen, can you explain to me what you just emailed? Explain to everybody. You got to do it with the mute.
Sorry.
There you go.
I just figured, we put up logos when we're doing sponsorship, when we're doing different lives and such, and I just kind of felt like Anthony supported Patrick, so I thought maybe we needed a little logo for that.
Brilliant. Just brilliant. I'm going to see if I can get it up and rolling right now. See what we got.
Keep in mind, I'm not a graphic artist, okay? So.
Or a person who knows how to handle lawnmowers, from what I read yesterday.
That was funny. Man, I felt like Alan Gunner, man.
So you felt tall and good looking after a little while?
I did.
Now you know how I feel every day.
Yeah. It was fine.
Ooh, that's cool.
Great work, kid. Great work. Good call, Hope. Good call on the subscribers. You either need 2 more or no more.
I will make a dummy account to get over that hump.
Let's see if that logo will even grow if I take this other. No, it does look better though that way.
That's awesome.
All up in Patrick's hair.
Right.
Jamar Chase is running the 40 today. I didn't think he was going to do that.
Who cares?
Me.
What? I mean, what's really going to make you excited? 4.29?
I'm just curious to see how fast he's going to be. If he ran a 4.29, oh my gosh. I'll throw up.
He's fast. Doesn't matter what his 40 times says.
Well, he's not. That's not like his calling card, but I am interested to see how fast he is. He's going to be the first wide receiver taken. He's unbelievable. He would have been the first wide receiver taken last year, but it will be cool to see what he runs.
If your calling card is your 40, you're not a good football player.
It's not true.
Calling card needs to be football plays if you're a football player.
Oh, if your calling card is speed, then you're going to run it past 40. But that's not necessarily Jamar Chase's calling card. He's a physical player. He's big. If he runs a 4.44, that'll be very impressive.
Uh-oh. Travis really giving us the hot take here. Someone stole Chattanooga's mascot. I didn't even know they had a mascot. What is it? They're not the Mocs, are they?
Yeah.
Check the story out.
Yeah.
Stole the snake?
Do they have a snake? I mean, is the snake, like, is it in a...
Ew.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Where's Louie? Just the costume. Boo.
Oh, a what?
Mascot still in there. Chattanooga police are on the case, though. Good news.
What is it?
This is not even the school. This is the minor league team. What are we doing here? Come on. This is disappointing, Travis. Where's Louie?
Kong vs. Godzilla's out, by the way. I watched the first 20 minutes this morning before the show started.
Yeah.
We'll throw it on here as soon as we end.
What is it? What does it own? Apple or
HBO Max.
HBO Max? How's HBO Max getting some of that? That's a big movie to go on HBO. Haven't they gotten a couple?
HBO
big...
Max got all of the Warner Brothers movies for the next year. Yeah. Yeah, they got some monster movies.
How much is HBO Max?
10, 13, something like that.
Do you have to then buy Kong, or is it just on there?
No, it's on there, but they only release it for 30 days. All the movies are only out for 30 days.
Really?
It's like as if they were on the theater. Like they get like the full-length theater run, but only on HBO Max. Like Disney Plus makes you subscribe and then also buy the movies, which is really dumb.
Yeah. But isn't Disney Plus a lot cheaper?
Well, I bundle it with Hulu and ESPN Plus, and it's $12.99, I think.
Yeah, prices have gone up.
Yeah.
Let's give Don Staley the final word here, Jen.
All right. Which cut?
Good question. Let's go 4.
That's where I was going to go.
national championship. And they're going to give it up for both sides of the ball.
And then some. Dawn Staley, her team, third Final Four in the last 6 years. Stanford is the matchup. 6 o'clock Friday night is when that thing will tip off. We'll have it for you right here on 107.5 The Game. That'll push the Gamecock baseball game over to our sister station, ESPN 1320 AM. Also a 6 o'clock start time on Friday at Georgia. And the Carolina men, the baseball team, I'm trying to say, 9-4 last night against Gardner-Webb. 14th home run of the season for Wes Clark. Jack Mahoney, a good start for Carolina in that one, taking care of business and now balancing out that 6-game losing streak with 6 straight wins. And it has been quite the roller coaster. 11 wins to start, 6 losses after that, now 6 more wins, including the sweep of Florida over the weekend. Has the Gamecocks feeling good about themselves going on the road in the SEC. They keep this thing rolling on the road in SEC play against a Georgia team that is not the cream of the crop. You're talking about some serious kind of wiggle room and building up the resume for sure. So it's a big weekend in that way for Gamecock baseball. Obviously, the Final Four speaks for itself for USC women's basketball, and the transfer news of Trey Hannibal and Jalen Mccurry we talked about this morning for the men's program. Bill, do you expect any kind of official word or that kind of season wrap-up press conference from Frank Martin anytime soon, or is this going to be, I would expect it to be after or maybe the day of the national championship game, maybe a couple of days after this the NCAA tournament kind of wraps up on the men's side of things next week?
I think that maybe official word will come down on the contract potentially in the next 2 days. It wouldn't surprise me if it's after Easter, but I think it could come by the end of the week. And then, I do think the season ending, and I use that on the live stream in quotations because season ended, it's 3 weeks ago now. Is that right? I feel like the season-ending press conference could still be a few weeks away. I think he's going to have to wait and see what his roster looks like before having a sit-down, but then having to have a whole nother press conference. I think he's going to need to know exactly who's staying and who's going, and then he can discuss and try to win the fan base back some.
Travis wanted to know on the Facebook Live chat that the Chattanooga minor league team, the Chattanooga Lookouts, their mascot, Louie, his costume was stolen last night. So
just the costume.
The stolen mascot costume market, and there might be something else there on the dark web for you. On our web broadcast there on the live stream, Anthony from Kershaw now, an official logo with the whiteboard up on our live stream. Jen, you are very talented. I like how that's looking up there. It's perfect. Patrick, how do you feel about the birth of the grievance board and getting some of your issues out and writing them out this morning? Feeling better here after the end of hour 3?
It felt better, and now we've got the draft projections of the Florida and LSU guys that are going to have pro day today. I just like our opportunities now. I got 2 sides. I still have the grievances on the opposite side.
Okay, good.
But I do like that we can kind of just make lists as we go. I like making lists. So just throughout the mornings.
I like that. Real quick, flip it back over. Let's get the draft projections. Florida LSU Pro Day today. I know you don't have much time left. What do you got
here?
Just
the top 6 guys. Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, the locks to be in the top 10. Terrace Marshall will be a late end of the first round pick. I like him to Baltimore. Darius Toney should be a second round pick. He can go anywhere. I think he'd be awesome in somewhere like Green Bay. Kyle Trask will probably be a second rounder. I wouldn't mind the football team taking a shot on him. And then Jabril Cox, best cover linebacker in the class. He'll probably be a second round pick.
That's good stuff.
How about that? I like that Kadarius Toney projection to Green Bay because the Packers, for whatever reason, can't draft someone in the first round for Aaron Rodgers to throw to.
Yeah.
It's just
never
a thing.
Touchdown pass to a first round wide receiver.
But they can draft a backup quarterback in the first round for some reason. Part of why I can't take Patrick's projections or anyone's projections at this point too seriously during NFL draft workout season. Man, there was a hyped up commercial. Did you guys see that running last night about pro days through April 6th on ESPN and the family networks?
And second pro days.
Underwear Olympics. Thanks for listening to the early 107.5. Oh, Courtney, Patrick, you want to take that one?
30 days. Exactly 30 days.
You got to follow him on Twitter. He's got a countdown going that he forgets to update every day.
April 29, Courtney, April 29.
Well, that's going into my birthday weekend then. I thought they moved it back a week.
I'm going to try to work on an event for that night. Hopefully we'll have that for you. Yep, that's a wrap, Craig. Great work.
Fun.
Director of this show, apparently. Hope you do as well. Everybody, thank you for your contributions on the live stream, especially Anthony from Kershaw bringing us the grievance board that has already been erased. That was fast, Patrick.
I don't want the like paint or marker to end up staying on the board. You know, if you leave it too long
Oh yeah.
and then try to erase it, it'll just kind of leave leftovers.
Of course.
Top of these
That's
things.
a whiteboard guru right there. He learned that move from Mel Kiper.
Well done. See you guys in the live stream. Let's see a couple last comments here. Chavo, you too. Thank you for the chicks and the feed store commentary. All right, Sonny's trying to pump ESPN Plus and Hulu, Disney Plus, the Play More Unlimited plan. Oh, Verizon, because that's who he works for. Craig.
Yeah.
Well done. That is hook 'em horns. Not that at all. See you guys.